Oh, yeah. I am awake and alive.
I'm so great I gotta say it twice and cut it out once. My head's a syrup bottle that's getting tipped over every Wednesday. You're a storyteller in a storytelling podcast, and the only story you're telling now is a story about stories you don't want to tell! What the fuck? Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast. This is the fourth attempt at starting this show, folks. It's not even a lie. Like, because when I first did it, I took this huge gulp of air. I was like, and 40-year-old boy. And I was like, wait a minute, I can't have a gulp of air because everybody thinks I'm winded. I'm winded before the show even starts. And fuck that, folks. I am in shape. You know that. My throat's in shape. I'm ready to go an hour if I have to. 2 hours. Maybe even 3. Not 3. Let's never do 3 again. Let's all agree that I'm never doing a 3-hour podcast ever again, folks. Right? Can we do that? Let's pinky swear. No, 4. I did 4 once. Lily held up a 4. Although she may have been just entering the 4 horsemen. Perhaps Lily's in the 4 horsemen and I don't know it. Are Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, and Ric Flair somewhere here in the apartment? They might be, because there's a lot of stuff in here, folks. The 4 horsemen could be hiding somewhere in this apartment. And let me tell you something. To be the man, you've got to beat the man. And in this sport of podcasting, I am the man. You know that, right? Because when you walk that aisle, styling and profiling, because I am a jet-flying, limousine-riding, kiss-stealing, wheeling-dealing son of a gun. Woo! That's right. I just Ric Flaired this podcast. The Nature Boy is here. All right. By the way, let me get this out of the way because a lot of you notice noises. I never notice noises because I don't listen to the show, but you guys will notice noises. Now, you hear me talking. Fine, that happens. And sometimes our friend Lily will make a noise of some sort, and you'll hear that. But do you hear this noise? Maybe you hear a noise in the background that sounds like a wind or something. We have a giant fucking fan running in Lily's house right now, and I just want to cover it because I don't want 900 emails from everybody going, what the hell was that huge blowing noise in the background? That's a goddamn industrial-sized fan on my back because it's 106 degrees. Outside. That's outside. Now I'm in a building with no air conditioning, all right? Imagine what the fuck it's like in here. Fuck working out and going to the gym. Fuck having Richard, you know what? This actually should be how I work out with Richard. He and I should just come to Lily's house and sit and watch television. That's enough of a workout for me. Holy shit. Because I am just dripping, and Lily is too, and it's which is fine. I mean, I don't mind. I always thought to myself, eventually, someday, she and I will be in a room together dripping, but... not like this. But now we've got this huge, gigantic fan. I don't know where the fuck Lily got it. It's like, because Lily, she kills me because she's got friends in every area of Hollywood, every aspect. Like, she'll be like, oh, I'm going to a stuntman party. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that is, but good for you. And then she'll have like pictures of it. And you ever see in the movies where the stuntmen jump off a building and those giant pillow, huge like cushion things, the air cushion? They're doing that at a party that Lily's at. She's like, oh, yeah, they just had a big ladder, and they were jumping off into this fucking thing, and they're all, like, diving into glasses of water, and these sword followers showed up, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why do you run with all these people? But because her life is infinitely more interesting than mine. What the fuck am I doing? Nothing. I sit all night in a goddamn apartment, and then I come here once a week and talk to you guys, and I bore you to tears. But she's going out and partying with reindeer. Hey, I'm at a reindeer party. Really? Is Santa there? He might come by, but it's summer. He doesn't usually come down in summer, but the reindeer are here. Blitzen's here. He's having a drink. Lily's drinking with reindeer. Every time of the week, you can call her and she's got something strange going on. Hey, did you know that the Smurfs actually exist? Yeah, they invited me to a party and I'm going there. Eddie and I are there right now. We're at a Smurf party. And then she'll actually have photos to back it up because I'll be like, whatever. And then there's her with fucking Smurfette. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, how did that happen? I didn't know they were real. How do you know them? How did you fucking make that weird connection? Because she has this weird underworld. She's friends with, like literally, Lily is friends with Archie and Jughead from the comic books. They're not even, I didn't think they were real, but she knows them. She's like, yeah, I'm going to a Jughead party. And you know, there ain't no party like a Jughead party because a Jughead party don't stop. I'm like, how do you know Jughead? And do you know Betty and Veronica? Of course she does. She knows Reggie. She knows Moose. She knows Dilton. She knows Miss Grundy and Mr. Weatherby. Lily knows all of them. Everybody from an Archie comic. Even the gay guy they had a couple years ago. That was actually her in. That's who Lily knew. Lily knew the gay guy who then got a job with the Archie comics, and then she's like, hello. If you look closely, they've drawn her in a few panels. Oh, my God. Actually, those are the R-rated Archies that you don't get to see. The Archie. That's what it is. All right. And let's tell you a little bit more about Lily Bunched Up. I'm a fan and a friend. Before we were starting the show, Lily's like, hey, I'm starving. I got to get some food from Eddie. And I said, okay. And she goes, do you want anything from McDonald's? And I said no, because I'm trying not to eat McDonald's. So he shows up at the McDonald's, and of course, nothing makes you want to eat McDonald's more than the smell of McDonald's when somebody brings it into the goddamn house. And the thing is, it's at that moment when you first hit your face, you're like, I got to have some McDonald's. But then if you smell it an hour later, you're like, I need to steam clean my house, because that smell is so nasty and it hangs around. It's like, if you ever buy McDonald's in your car and you're like, this is awesome, you're eating bag fries and you get to your house, but then when you go out to your car an hour later and your car smells like McDonald's, you're just like, holy shit, I've got to get somebody to vacuum out this stink. I mean, it's so bad. But Eddie comes in and waves his mustache at me because he's furious about last week's show. And I guess it was faux mad, or I have no idea. He may have been really mad. He may have been fine, but his mustache was furious. So he comes in with the food, and then I immediately regretted not getting anything. So I'm like, do you have a fillet of fish like in the bag or something? And I was joking, but not really, because I figured that, you take pity on me. And Lily's like, come on, you said you didn't want anything. And I said, oh, you're right. And so then we sat here talking, and Lily got a Happy Meal. All right. And Eddie got whatever he was going to eat, and he ate it in the living room. But Lily proceeded to eat her Happy Meal right in my face and not offer me anything. It was the weirdest thing. She held up the fries because they were in a weird container. And I was like, I hate a shot glass full of fries. She's like, yeah. And then she just fucking, like a wood chipper, went through them, blazed through them. She cut the top off of a ketchup, and she ate all of them. She didn't say, you want a fry? She had a hamburger. She fucking inhaled the hamburger. And she never said, no, bullshit. I am not lying. You didn't offer me one bite. You didn't.
7 French fries.
You are right. And you didn't offer your friend any of it.
I am sorry.
You admit it, though.
Want anything? And you're like,
No, you did not. You did
When I
not.
ordered, I said, do you want anything? And you're like, no. So I didn't even think about it.
Of course not. You didn't think about it at all.
7 French fries.
As you furiously shoved food in your face. And I sat here and watching you eat it, and I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. But I mean, this is weird that she would just not offer.
May I have a French
No,
fry?
I'm not an animal. You should offer me. No, you need to offer.
About it 'cause you said you didn't want it.
And again, why would I say, can I have one? Because there were so few. I can't do that. Then you should have. But so she went through them, and then the last thing she had was an apple pie, and she opened it up, and she's biting the apple pie, and then she just goes, do you want a bite? Who the hell wants a bite of an apple pie? Nobody. No, I refuse to be your dessert afterthought. Get rid of it. And she did. Then she just worked. I said, nah. And she's all right. And she just put the entire pie in her mouth. Actually, she'd lick the whole thing. You want some of this? No, I don't. It's fine. Enjoy your apple pie. So I didn't eat any McDonald's, and I watched her consume a pile of it. Oh my God, it was huge. I didn't realize how big. Happy Meals are so gigantic. Happy Meals are so gigantic. I had no idea that they were that big.
Do you want an apple slice?
Hold on.
Screw that up.
Did you get? Yeah, you had apple slices too, and worked through those.
There were 4 apple slices.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want one of those? I would have given you one. I'm so sorry. Next time I will make sure to offer you an apple slice and a French fry.
I would have refused anything you offered, quite frankly.
Then fuck you.
But I just don't understand how you don't lean forward and go, "Would you like a French fry?" It was horrible. I hate sitting here and just being. Because I felt like I was imposing, because like her and Eddie are having a nice lunch, and then I'm just here lurking.
Eddie's in the other room.
Yes, because I took his chair. I took Eddie's chair. Eddie would have sat here, and you would have looked at one another and made goo-goo eyes.
And we would feed each other food until we have sex.
That's grim. Wow, you could have done that. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time you did that while I was here. All right. Well, it's hot, folks. I mean, who knows? Who knows what they do? Because I showed up and Lily's in a thong. She's like, hey, I got to put some pants on. I'm like, yeah, I guess. Maybe. You don't really have to if you don't want to. She's like, no, trust me. And so then she comes out. She's like, no, she said, I got to get dressed. Because she was wearing a thong and a shirt. And she goes, I got to get dressed. And she comes back out, same shirt, and just put on like a pair of shorts. Like short shorts over the thong. I'm like, yeah, good thing you got dressed. But again, I'm fine with that. I'm happy to sit here in 106-degree weather and sit here by a stripper who's got no clothes on. That's fine with me, right? That's fine with you. It's fine with all of us. I think year 6 is just going to be a video feed of the show, and you're going to have to be all made up and like wearing stripper clothes. And yeah, that's the only way we can make this work for a year 6.
That's going to be a for pay podcast.
Well, that's fine. That's what I'm saying. We'll figure out a way to monetize it in some way. But I mean, because nobody's going to want to fucking hear me talk for year 6. They're going to have to sit here and just watch you. Literally, we will have the camera on you. I'll have a microphone. And again, nobody will see me. I'll talk. I'll fucking talk, but the camera will just be on you, and you're just fanning yourself, and then periodically letting your hair down, and then taking your glasses off and putting them in your mouth, and then dangling a shoe off your foot. Actually, this is pretty much more for me than you guys, really. I just wrote the entire scenario, and then week 2 you'll wear like a sombrero, and oh my god, with no shirt, you'll have 3 sombreros, literally one on your head, and then just 2 on your chest. I like it. All right, folks. Hi. Hey, I went to a screening last night. I went to a movie called, here's the thing, Comedy Film Nerds is a website that you may be familiar with, and they have a podcast as well, and periodically they will get screening information, and they will tell us, they'll throw them out to the writers and say, hey, anybody wants to go to a movie, and then you can write a review of it, and that'll be fun. And the screenings are, they're usually for smaller films like documentaries or things like that. Well, there was a film that I had heard a lot about from Sundance, and I saw it was on the list. I go, I'm taking it, doing it. Because it was performed at Sundance, and I guess it got some good vibes or some good heat or whatever the fuck you call it in the movie industry. I don't know. I'm not from there. Some buzz. There you go, buzz instead of vibes and heat. I don't know what it was. But it was a movie called VHS. And it was a horror movie. I had heard it was a horror movie, and it was changing the genre or whatever the fuck. I don't know. It got some nice... There were some people who came out of seeing it at Sundance who said good things. And I like horror movies, and I don't get to see nearly enough of them. So I was like... And here was the premise of it, okay? Well, I'll tell you that in a second. But so I was like, all right, I'm in. And I wanted to do it with me and Matt Weinhold, who also writes for the site, and he's a huge horror guy. Like, I love horror movies, but Matt Weinhold really loves horror movies and knows a lot about horror movies. I don't. I mean, I just know what I like, and I've seen them, and I can name a bunch of them. But whether they're good or bad, that's all personal taste. I mean, I'm not a critic for horror movies. And also, honestly, I don't like... I mean, I like horror movies a lot, but I can't see them anymore because they don't scare me. I see stuff coming. Whatever the fuck. Who cares? You don't care. Yeah, you do. What the fuck? I'm the one talking. I'm discussing it. Why am I telling you don't care? I got to stop saying that. Seriously, that's like a go-to thing that I say all the time, to the point where people have written me emails with that in there. And I'm like, no, you care? Of course you care. You're listening, right? You had to put your earbuds in and plug it into an iPod vagina, and you fucking get your tweakedaudio.com/40 cockring watch on, and you're listening to all of this because you want to. Why would you not care? Why would you put on your Mike Schmidt costume and listen to the show otherwise? Why would you sit down with your tweakedaudio.com/40 autoerotic asphyxiation earbuds, your cockring watches, plug it into your iPod vagina, and just sit there with your hands in your lap? Why? If you didn't care. Of course you care. So I should just change that from you don't care, nobody cares, to you care, everybody cares. That's what I should say. You care, everybody cares. So I like horror movies a lot, but I'm finding as I get older, I can't see them because they don't surprise me. They don't do anything scary in them anymore, and I see through them. I'm too smart. I'm too smart for horror movies because you're just like, all right, well, this guy's doing this and this guy's doing that, and I know what the fuck's going to happen. And that's why it's such a revelation if you see something amazing that changes you and is really... Like the first Saw movie, when I was like, oh my God, I saw the trailer for it and I was so excited. And then I went and saw it and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And then by the time we hit Saw 37, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, I get it. There's a guy in a tricycle and he's a doll, right? Somebody's got their thumb caught in a mousetrap and they've got to make a phone call before time runs out. I don't know what the fuck it is. Well, good for you. And then Saw himself is like alive, and then he's not alive, and then he's got cancer, and then he's not, and then he's got a sister, and then he's got a friend. And it's like there's all a million Saws. There's not one. There was one Saw guy, Jigsaw, but then all of a sudden there's like a million Jigsaws. In every other movie, it's like he passed it on to a sister and a brother and a cousin. There's a family of Jigsaws. The Jigsaw family. That's what they should just make. They actually just make a TV sitcom out of it, for fuck's sake. Jigsaw family. And then they keep putting people in predicaments. See, I watch that. You watch that, don't you, folks? Of course you do. Lily doesn't, but I do. The Jigsaw family, and they keep tricking their neighbors, and the neighbors are like, wah, wah, like, and you made it like funny? I'm into that. I'd watch that. And I don't watch any TV. Although, fuck, you know what I watched? All right, let's talk about this for just a second. Folks, let's deal with the fact that I'm not talented at all. Can we deal with that right now? Because I like to think that I'm funny. I like to think that I'm a guy, and I'll often say it on here, but like, Jesus Christ, I'm so funny and you're so lucky and all that bullshit. And then you'll stumble in and see something that's so much funnier than any you could have ever thought, and you're like, holy fuck, why do I even bother? Why do I even bother? It's like, I don't know if it works for you guys. Like, if you're out there, if you're a lawyer, okay, and you're a lawyer and you're doing pro bono work or whatever the fuck, or you're working as an assistant DA or whoever you are, and then you go into a courtroom and you see somebody lawyer like you've never seen anyone lawyer before. Like, you go in, you're head to head against them, and they just fucking vomit law all over you. you. They just lawyer the shit out of you because you're trying to fight them and win your case, but then they just stand up and they basically they Marty McFly, Chuck Berry you in front of everybody. You know what I mean? Like when they bring some new style of lawyering that you've never imagined and you just get fucked in the ass in front of an entire courtroom. How horrible is that feeling? I had that feeling this weekend, but also I loved this feeling because, well, all right, I didn't love getting fucked in the ass in front of an entire courtroom. Let's go ahead and say that. But like if you're a garbage man and you're just picking up garbage and throwing it in the truck, and then you look across the street and there's a guy who's like spinning the can and he's dominating and he's flipping the garbage in there and he's not dirty at all, like his suit's not dirty. You're like, what the fuck? That guy's an amazing garbage man. Why can't I be that kind of a garbage man? I had that happen to me because my brother Glenn is on Facebook, and he'll wind up in my feed, and he put this thing up, and he's like, "What?" It just said, "What the fuck is happening in Britain?" and it had a link to a TV show or a sketch. I didn't know what it was, and I looked at it. I'm like, "Well, I don't know what that is," but and then he wrote underneath it. He goes, "Actually, I really like this. I go, this is pretty amazing." So then I clicked on it, and it was, first of all, I saw it was 25 minutes long, which immediately made me go, I'm not watching this because I don't on the web. If it's more, I swear to God, if it's more than a minute and a half, I close it. I won't watch it unless I know that someone's going to die at the end of it. If that's going to happen, or if it's porn, or somebody's going to die, I'll give it more than 2 minutes of my time, or a minute, or 90 seconds even. But if it's 90 seconds and I'll find myself, dude, how horrible am I? Literally, there'll be something, they're like, oh, wait for the end. I'll just fast forward to the end. I don't give a shit about the build up. I'm not Hitchcock on a fucking YouTube clip. I just want to see the guy get hit in the face. All right. There was some clip I saw from a highway in Russia, and it's this guy. And first of all, by the way, all this weird shit happens in Russia. You might see on the streets. There's actually a compilation clip of like 17 minutes of just shit happening on the road in Russia. But there's one constant in all of those clips. Somebody in Russia at all times is filming out of their car window at all fucking times. No wonder all these fucking accidents are happening. You see the videotape of a guy who's in a car, he's got his phone and he's filming, and then all of a sudden you see a huge accident like in the distance. I guarantee you that motherfucker also had a phone and he was also filming, waiting for crazy shit to happen. That's why Russia's up for grabs. Everybody in the car is filming everybody else, waiting for some stupid shit so they can put it on YouTube. Because it's Russia's only link to the outside world. Otherwise, they're in a gulag drinking beet juice, motherfucker. No, they want to film shit and get a name for themselves and put it up on fucking YouTube. And I've seen I've seen horrible shit. Dude, there's horrible shit happening in like Croatia and all these different guys. I saw a dude get a chainsaw in the face. And yeah, dead. Like, it's not even like, I wish I was saying it like, oops, it was an accident. It wasn't. Believe me, there was no way Tom Berenger could have made this clip funny. Nah, I mean, he could have tried. He absolutely would have tried, but there's no way. If they put that on AFV and it's like, oh, here's Ludwig. That's a German name. Here's, I can't think of a Croatian name. Can you, Tony, Toni. That's the only Croatian I know is Tony Kukoc. He played for the Bulls. So I'll go with that Croatian name. There's no way to make that. You could have even put wah wah at the end. It would not have made it funny. This guy got a chainsaw in the face, and even weirder, he's sitting next to a guy. There's a guy next to him who's about to get chainsawed in the face, and I don't know. This is where every cliche gangster bullshit fucking tough guy came from. There's two dudes sitting there with their hands tied behind their back, and one guy gets a chainsaw in the face. The other guy, I don't think he blinked. Like, his pulse didn't raise at all. He just sat there like, nah, my buddy's got a chainsaw in the face. I guess that's about to happen to me. Like, he tough guyed right through it. He didn't fucking scream or yell or run, which then makes you think it's fake. You're like, it's gotta be, but there's no way it's fake. This guy's head explodes. Like, they fucking cut it open with a chainsaw, for fuck's sake. It's all over the place. But I know you can do a lot of shit with the computer these days, but there's no way in Croatia. There's no way in Croatia they were able to fucking fake that. In Croatia, that's special effects. That's why there's no movies coming out of Croatia. Because when they make a movie, they have to really kill the people. Every film in Croatia is a snuff film. So that's why they always make just cartoons where everybody's happy. Except for a fucking Serbian film. You ever see that? Oh, don't, folks, do me a favor. Do not watch a Serbian film. That's the name of it. I shouldn't even give you the name of it. Don't watch it. Erase that. Take out your earbuds. Forget I said that. Clean your brain. A Serbian film is the source of every bad GIF you've ever seen on the fucking internet, of every terrible fucking thing that you can imagine. It's just full of rape and incest and murder. And I've never seen the film, by the way, because I have no interest in it. I just saw the GIFs and I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I Googled it and I found out what Serbian film was and I went to Wiki and read about it. And just reading about it makes you sad. Reading about it, you're like, I got to take a shower. I can't fucking believe anybody would even make this, watch it. I mean, there's like 8 million things wrong with it. And then, of course, on 4chan, everybody's just like, I got to see it. It's amazing. No, you don't. The worst is like people that put up the GIF GIFs, and there's a GIF of like a woman getting her nipples cut off or something like horrible, and someone will write sauce, which means they want the source of that video. Like, what is wrong with you? You want the source of that video? Just go read a book, read a classic, go read Mark Twain, read fucking Huckleberry Finn or some bullshit. Don't stop looking at people getting their nipples cut off. Stop looking at a guy get a chainsaw in the face. Now, look, by the way. I say that to you young people. If you're my age, go look at a guy get a chainsaw in the face. Who cares? We've seen everything, right? I've read Mark Twain. I've read Huckleberry Finn. I think I've earned the right to go onto the internet and see a guy get a chainsaw in the face. God damn it, that's where I'm at in my development. By the time I'm 80, I guess I'll just be putting chainsaws in people's faces. At that point, I'll be dead. I'm not living to 80. I'm not getting past 54. I've talked about that, right? Yeah, that's it. That's the magic number, folks. I don't know if it's magic. I'm going to die at 54? What? Abracadabra! Dead. The fuck was I talking about? Chainsaw in the face. Serbian film. Awful. Don't look. And by the way, let me go ahead and do this. I rarely do this, folks, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to speak directly to one of you, all right? There's a lot of you out there who listen to the show, and I appreciate it, and you all contact me. But there's one person in particular who I'm going to speak to right this second, okay? It's our friend Zelda in Canada. Zelda, don't Google a Serbian film. Don't go look at the GIFs, because I talked about Goatsy on here once, and I said, look, don't Google that, folks. As an aside, and Zelda, of course, immediately stopped her iPod, took out her tweakedaudio.com/40 earbuds, autoerotic fixation earbuds, put them on the table, and Googled Goatsy, and then wrote me and goes, why, Mike? Like she's like horribly hurt, and I said, I told you not to. It's not my fault. So I have to speak directly to you, Zelda, right now. Do not Google Russian chainsaw in the face. Do not Google a Serbian film. Just live your life. You're a grown woman. You're a nice person. And again, like I said, Huckleberry Finn was for young people. You pick it up again and read it a second time, because I don't need you to write me and ask me what a blue waffle is again. Because I said that on here too, and I think she looked for that, or it might have been her, or somebody else actually looked that up, I think. I don't know. Who cares? Stop. Look, when I say don't look something up, don't look it up. I mean it. Like, I'm not even saying it like it's a joke and hoping eventually. It's not like I get money if you look it up, and I'm using reverse psychology. Don't look it up. It's horrible. You can't unsee these things. Yeah, they're terrible. But that's what I do. What's so funny is then I'll watch TV and I just stare at people cooking, because it's like I can just turn my head off and not worry about a guy getting a chainsaw in the face. Rarely does that happen in the middle of diners, drive-ins, and dives. Because if it did, A, you'd be so disappointed it wasn't Guy Fieri getting a chainsaw in the face, and B, you would never eat at that restaurant. They're trying to get people to eat at those restaurants. If they say, hey, by the way, we smoked this brisket for 8 hours slow and low, and then after that we put a chainsaw in a guy's face, you're not going to eat at that establishment. So don't Google those things. Zelda, I'm speaking to you specifically. And anybody else too. Absorb that message. Don't Google it. Don't look for it. But you specifically, Zelda, because you seem to be weirdly curious, and then you write me sad that I made you do something, and I didn't make you do it. I told you specifically not to do it. Okay. So what the fuck? I was talking about a guy getting the chainsaw on the face. How did I get there? Oh, the Jigsaw. Yeah, that's right. The Jigsaw TV show that doesn't exist, that we just made up. But I was talking. Oh, because two things. Well, yeah, because I talked about the TV show, and then also because about the screening. All right, so remember. All right, folks, remind me about the screening. So yeah, there are times when you think you're really funny, you're really talented, and you're really good at stuff, and then you see something and you go, I am not in the same stratosphere as those people. And I need some backstory on this too. I did Comedy Film Nerds podcast a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about the movie The Watch. Okay, and I made a joke because on the signs on the side of a bus, it was like Vince Vaughn, Ben Stiller, Jonah Hill, and a guy I'd never heard of in my fucking life. And I saw it and I was like, who is this guy and why does he get on the poster? And I made the joke on Comedy Film Nerds. I was like, who is that guy bringing person one in the door? What kind of agent does that guy have that he was able to get his face? Like, it's almost like they were weakened by negotiating with Vince Vaughn, Ben Stiller, and Jonah Hill, that this fourth guy snuck in and went, hey, can you throw my face on the poster? Like, oh, fuck, yeah, fine, who cares? And it was a guy named Richard Ayoade, I think was his name. And I don't know, and I said on Comedy Film Nerds, I believe I said, this is more about me than it does about him, that I don't know who the fuck he is. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this guy's he has the same billing as Vince Vaughn. It just seemed crazy to me. And so I said that on Comedy Film Nerds. And Hey, fans of Richard Ayoade, I'm glad that you have email accounts. Let me just go ahead and say that right now, because I wouldn't say inundated, but I had about 25 people write me to rip me for not knowing who Richard Ayoade was. A guy on Twitter actually wrote me, and he's like, do some research. Richard Ayoade is, you wish you were half as funny as Richard Ayoade is. And then, of course, people that also wrote various versions of that in the emails to me. Thank you, England. I'm glad I heard from you. But then when they pointed out who he was, I was embarrassed because I actually kind of did know who he was because he was on a show called Gareth Marenghi's Dark Place on Adult Swim, which I've watched a few times and I thought was funny because I have a predisposition to English humor. Like when I grew up, I loved Monty Python. I loved The Young Ones. I watched a show called The Kenny Everett Show. I used to watch that, and I loved it. It was like this weird video thing. So people that, they wrote me about Richard Ayoade, and some people were very nice. They're like, dude, you should check out Richard Ayoade. He's in a movie called I think it's the IT Club or the It Club. I don't know how it's pronounced. And then also The Mighty Boosh. Now, I had heard a lot about The Mighty Boosh and never seen it, but people had always told me about it, and I never got the chance to check it out because, again, I don't do Netflix, so I can't order stuff, and I don't have on demand. I have just DirecTV, and we have BBC, but I don't think they run it on there. Whatever the fuck, who cares? Everybody cares. That's who cares. You care. Everybody cares. But then people wrote me to point out that he was from the Mighty Boosh and stuff like that, and I was like, well, maybe I'll check it out. I should check it out, but I always make that plan. Like I've never seen The British Office. And I love Ricky Gervais, and everybody's like, dude, you need to see it. I actually borrowed the box set from Pat once, and then, of course, he took it back, which was weird. I'm like, what are you doing? Are you watching it? I'm not going to steal it. But he took it back. But then again, I had it for over a month sitting in my house, and I never watched it. I just didn't. I don't carve out time to sit down and watch because I'm already too busy wasting enough time watching people get chainsaws in the face. I think I've covered that, folks. I can't be bothered to watch The Office. There's a guy in Russia who's got a car and a phone right now. He's about to make something amazing. I can't possibly be that far away from my computer. When he's going to upload it, it's going to be so great. I never finished this. There was a guy in Russia. There's like I don't know why everybody's taping everybody's got a phone, but they're driving on the highway. All right. And it's a minute-long clip. And someone's just like, watch this, all right? And just brace yourself. And I'm like, oh, great. Something awesome's going to happen. So there's a guy in traffic, and he's driving, and there's all people are turn signaling and trying to get out of the lane. And in the upper right-hand corner on the street, you see like a flash of silver. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? I don't know. And then I see legs, and I'm like, all right. And then it turns out like a truck moves, and this is a freeway where people are going at least 60 miles an hour. A guy is on a shopping cart. And he's using his feet to spin around in traffic. Like he just rolled into traffic for no reason. And people are like honking and he doesn't care and he doesn't smile or look and then he like kicks himself back and he spins in a circle and people are stopping and then they're driving 60 miles an hour. Vroom, vroom, they're just wailing past him and he doesn't give a shit. He's just spinning around in a goddamn cart. And I was like, God, Russia. The whole country looks like an amusement park. It's just like there's no rules. There's no police. Everybody's too busy, trying to figure out how to come to America and live on my block. I almost want to talk to the Russian people that live on my block and go, what the fuck is with your country and the iPhone and all the crazy shit you're doing? Jesus. Did you see the guy who jumped off the tower? Oh, guys doing base jumping. A guy jumps off a base jump. It's like 5 stories up and his parachute doesn't open. And his friends lean over and you just see him like Wile E. Coyote and you see that poof, at the bottom of the fucking thing. He landed in snow, so he only broke both legs and a hip or something like that. But, but in Russian, you hear them talking and they put in the subtitles, he's dead. Yeah, he's dead. Like they're just talking like that. Nobody panics. Nobody screams. They just lean over and watch him land and they're like, yeah, he's dead. Russia. I gotta go. Sounds like my kind of town. So that Richard Ayoade, people wrote me and they're like, dude, you're an idiot. I'm like, yes, I'm an idiot. I get that. And I was embarrassed. And I even told the guy on Twitter, I'm embarrassed that I didn't know that because I should know more than that. But also at the same time, I was fucking joking, guy on Twitter. I mean, I was only kidding. I was making fun of the fact that I had no idea who this guy was. And all of a sudden he's on the poster for the movie. It just seemed strange. And obviously, his presence on the poster didn't exactly make The Watch a huge box office hit, did it? Although, I did hear from everybody, but then again, this might be hipster opinions. They're like, oh my God, Richard Ayoade stole the movie with everything he said. And it's like, dude, it's Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, and Jonah Hill. How hard is it to steal a movie from those guys these days? For me anyway. I'm not a Ben Stiller guy. I'm not a Jonah Hill guy. Vince Vaughn, however, I think is still funny. Although, when I heard that he sold this new Brady Bunch, I was like, you're joking, right? Did you see that? He sold the Brady Bunch a new. He came up. Sure, let's put it this way. He came up with the idea, and there are quotation marks somewhere in that fucking sentence of having Bobby Brady grown up, and he has kids, and then he marries a woman with kids, and that's like a new generation of the Brady Bunch, and it's going to be on CBS. And he and Peter Billingsley thought that up. And in reality, all CBS did was say, "Hey, we want to be in the Vince Vaughn business. What do you got?" Yep. And he said, "How about a fake Brady?" I'm sure he was like he had a highball glass in his hand, and he watched the Brady Bunch on the way over, and then just went, "Hey, what about a Brady Bunch?" They went, "Done. Sign here, Vince." That's the only thing I can think of. Because that's a fucking horrible idea. A horrible idea. Because that's just, although for CBS it's not a bad idea because it's right in their wheelhouse for 800-year-old people who remember the fucking Brady Bunch. Whatever. All right. So. And what the fuck do I know, folks? I'm in a 106-degree stripper's kitchen. I got no connection to show business whatsoever. Who am I to criticize? I didn't even know who Richard Iote was, and I've got the email to prove it. And the angry Twitter guy. All right, so the point is, I don't watch a lot of TV, so I can't stand commercials, and TV does nothing for me. Like, I have to do, all right, next week I'll tell you this right now, and I'll plug it again later. I'm doing Paul Goebel's podcast, the King of TV podcast. We're doing it live next Monday, which I think is is that the 11th? I don't know. I'll figure it out before the end of the show. But next Monday, we're at the I.O. West down in Hollywood, and we're doing a live podcast. And he wrote me, and he's like, and this always happens with Paul, and I always ignore it. But if we're doing it live, I can't ignore it now because I can't bullshit my way through it. But he's like, "Hey, do the show. We're doing it live, and you have homework. You've got to watch this, and you've got to watch this." Like, I have to watch TV shows that I would never in a million years watch. And I've talked about that on here before. He wants to talk about the Avengers TV show that they're going to come up with Joss Whedon. And then he also wants to talk about Matthew Perry's new show that I saw some promos for through the Olympics. And it just looked, and I like Matthew Perry. He seems like a good guy. But Jesus Christ, that show looked terrible. Because all shows look terrible to me. If it's not Breaking Bad or Mad Men or Curb Your Enthusiasm or Boardwalk Empire, I'm out. Or Sopranos or The Wire or those things. I can't bring myself to watch. I certainly can't watch comedy on television except for, like I said, Curb, or like I'll watch Tim and Eric, stuff like that. So to me, if you were like, watch fucking 2.5 Men or The Big Bang Theory or any of these, Modern Family, it's not for me. And I hear it's great. It's funny. One time I was with Pardo and Pat, and they were talking about Modern Family, and I'm like, dude, that just looks awful. And they're like, it's the best show ever. They're like, it's so amazing, you have to watch it. And I'm like, I did watch it once. Like, Karen was watching it because she likes it, and I'm a child. I don't know how to explain it, folks. When I see stuff like that, my brain shuts off. I don't have any interest in it. I don't find any funny. And it's weird, but that's just the way I am. So then my brother Glenn, the other day, he posts on Facebook this show from England, and I click it open, and it's 25 minutes long. And I'm like, well, fuck, I'll watch the opening of it. If Glenn said it was funny, because he and I will say that about my brother. He and I have pretty kind of the same sensibilities. We find a lot of the same things funny, except for he doesn't think that I'm funny. So that makes a weird gap. I think I'm hysterical, and he has no interest. Like one time, I think I told you about that. We posted something on my page. He's like, "I guess this would make sense if I listened to your blog." Yeah, probably would. Go ahead and listen to my blog when you get a chance. It was a show called Noel Fielding's Luxury Comedy. And it was a show from England. And I started watching it. And 25 minutes later, I restarted it and watched the whole thing again. I couldn't move. It was fucking fabulous. You're shaking your head because apparently you... Did you hate it? Yeah. Okay. I loved every second of it. Because you know what it is, folks? It's like if Sid and Marty Krofft met the young ones and Kenny Everett, and they made an English. It's got puppets, and I can't explain to you how genius it was. I was 9 years old again watching it. Like, it reminded me of like when I watched Monty Python as a kid, and not really understanding everything that was going on, but still loving it. Like and not understanding the references, but just. There's music, the use of music in it. It is brilliant. And I'm watching it and going, I felt so small. Like I'm so unfunny compared to that. I'm so not even in the same league when you see and this guy, that's a series. Okay. I only watched one episode of it, one 25-minute episode. And I went, that's funnier than anything I've ever done. 25 minutes to think of the things that he thought of in that show. And then the backgrounds and just the the use of music and the use of visuals alone are better than anything I've ever done. And you want to argue British comedy and comedy, whatever the fuck. It was so wheelhouse for me. I sat there, I watched it twice in a row, and then made Karen come in and watch it with me a third time. And she thought it was really funny because she also loved those shows growing up too. And I mean, I sat there, I can't wait to watch all of it. And I was embarrassed. It made me embarrassed that I didn't know it existed. Because then I told my brother Glenn, I go, dude, I can't believe this is on. It's genius. And then Glenn, of course, is like, have you seen Mighty Boosh? And then I found out Noel Fielding is one of the guys in Mighty Boosh who actually created it. And then I watched clips of that online, and I'm like, Jesus, fuck. Of course, it's brilliant. It's genius. Why do I not know this? Why have I not seen this? Because I don't partake. I don't seek that stuff out. I hear about it, and I also, at the same time, you hear comedy nerds talk about that kind of stuff, and immediately you just go, eh. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. You hear them wax rhapsodic about it, and they fetishize it, and they're just like, oh my God, British comedy, and oh, the Mighty Boosh, and you get a weird thing in your head where you're like, fuck, I don't need to see that, or a weird backlash because you're like, you fucking nerds, whatever. But I'm serious. That's just the way you feel, because when anybody champions something so much, you just kind of go, nah, yeah, I can't, because and again, this gets to who I am as a guy. I don't like coming in at the end of things. Like, if I had discovered the Mighty Boosh and was like, holy shit, you're not going to believe this, then I'd feel better about it. I know that sounds stupid, but that's terrible, but it speaks to who I am as a guy. Because now let's put it this way, if people love it so much, they've taken all of the good out of it. Like, if I just jump on, now I'm that guy who came on board with Mighty Boosh late, and everybody's like, oh, whatever, you're the latecomer. And I know that's weird hipster mentality as well, but that's how I feel. Like, they've wrung all of the good stuff out of it. If I come along now, it's just like, oh, yeah, you're watching that, now we're on to the new thing. And it's stupid. I shouldn't feel like that. I should just find something that's good, because Noel Fielding, I had no idea what the fuck that was, and then I watched it. I can't wait. Like, I want to champion this guy. Like, I want to hug him, because it was so amazing watching that fucking show. And the thing that's funny is Lily hated it. And there are other people out there I know who they hate it. Because I went to YouTube, and other people like my brother Glenn's first initial reaction was, what the fuck is this? And then you watch it and you go, oh, that's what it is. It's fucking brilliance. Because and the thing that makes me laugh too is it's on in prime time in England. That's on Thursday nights at 9, I think it is. Can you imagine that being on in America? Go watch that show right now. Stop listening to me and go watch that particular episode, The Jelly Fox, because that's my only reference point now. I haven't watched the rest, but it's linked on my Facebook page. If you go to YouTube and just look up Noel Fielding Jelly Fox or Luxury Comedy Jelly Fox and watch the whole episode. The use of music, the use of visuals, it's fucking intense. It's so great. I'm serious. It made me, you know what? It made me happy. Like I guess that's the way I'd put it. I watched it and I was overwhelmingly happy watching it, because it reminded me of being small or being a kid. It just infused in me the thought that anything could be possible. I know that sounds ridiculous for a television show, and one that you're going to watch and go, this is fucking horrible. I know none of you are going to like it, but I'm telling you, if you watch, all right, let's put it this way. You might hate it, but if you watch it, realize that is perfect for me. That is absolutely perfectly. It's exactly what I would want to do, but I'm not capable of it. Like I've talked about that on here before. When you go see things that are great works of art, like and not even great works of art, things that are just overwhelming. Like I saw the movie Black Hawk Down, and that's always my reference point. I sat in a movie theater with Jimmy Pardo when we watched it, and I was astonished by it. I could never do that. There's this chase through the streets of Somalia, and they're filming helicopters and jeeps, and I'm like, who the fuck filmed that? How could you ever? I couldn't think to edit it. I barely could watch it and get through it, for fuck's sake, because of the overwhelming amount of work that I saw had been put into it. And not only that, the overwhelming talent that had been used to put it together. You know what I mean? Not only, cinematographers and filmers and directors and actors. It was just such a complicated project, and one that I could never fathom being involved in. And that's how I feel watching this show, because Noel Fielding created it. He created Mighty Boosh, which also I watched some clips of, and then he created this. And I went and read his wiki page, and they're like, oh yeah, he was doing stand-up, and he met some guys there, and then he got together with them and started writing. Could you imagine meeting that guy at a stand-up thing and then sitting down to write with him, and he goes, hey, here's my idea. There's a stingray that used to produce albums for Jim Morrison back in the 60s, and he lives in a tank underneath my treehouse where I live, and I'm dressed up like Kiss. And then there's these guys who come in, and I'm in a band with Andy Warhol. I mean, you're just like, what the fuck? It's funny, you're laughing, and even though you hated it, you're laughing.
Your description of it.
Because it's fucking amazing. There's a guy named Jeremy, what was his name? Jeremy, Amazing Chest. Is that what his name was? He went down and he did a painting of a kookaburra inside of a wallaby, a foul-mouthed kookaburra, and then it cut to a guy who was like an art, and they put it in the gallery. I can't even again, I'm revving on it because I loved it so much. And I the only great thing about my life now is I know I've got 12 more episodes of that on YouTube to watch. Really, that's the only thing I'm looking forward to, because I'm not on the same planet as Noel Fielding with the shit that he's done and the stuff that he creates. I mean, I can sit here and talk in circles, and I can do something that's semi-unique, all right? Anybody can fucking do this. I don't know if they can be entertaining the whole time, but whatever the fuck, who cares? No one, well, everybody cares. You care. But I watch him, and I'm just like, and he's my age. He's even younger. He's 39. And it had this list of all the things that he's done, he's been involved in, and I'm like, what must his brain be like? How fucking genius is that guy? Like, I would want to meet him, just hug him for bringing brilliance to the world. I'm astonished by it, and I'm ashamed of myself for not knowing of it until now. But the good news is I have it all in front of me, which is great. But when I watched it, I sat there and it's the same way whenever you see anything great for the first time, whenever you're just taken aback and you're like, whoa, like when I saw Reservoir Dogs and I sat there and I watched Tarantino and I watched it unfold and I'm like, this was made for me. It's like my brain went ahead and said, hey, let's make this movie. And it was all fucking fake tough guy shit and people swearing and guns. And then Madsen's in it and he's unbelievable. And I sat there almost bouncing in my seat like a child at a birthday party, because it was like, this was the greatest gift I'd ever received, because I'm watching a movie that was made only for me, just for me. And that's how I felt about this television show when I watched it. And I know obviously that's not true. Noel Fielding belongs to the world, and we're all better for it. But watching this show, I watched it 3 times in a row. I don't watch anything over 90 seconds. I watched 75 minutes in a row of Noel Fielding because I was amazed by it. 69 minutes, 70 minutes. Who the fuck cares? I'm not doing the math. You care. Everybody cares about math. But it's how I felt. It's how I felt when I saw Dennis Miller do stand-up when I was a kid for the first time, or when I saw David Letterman for the first time, or when I saw Jimmy Pardo in a club do stand-up for the first time. I sat there slack-jawed going, this is something I can't even comprehend. It's so amazing, and it's exactly what I needed at that moment. It's exactly what I was looking for at that moment. When I saw Letterman, my whole life changed. Everything changed. I'm like, oh my God, you can do that? He can be that guy, and you can be a smartass to everybody all the time, which is what I had been doing in my life anyway. Even as a kid, we were just smartasses busting balls, and then you watch there's a guy on TV doing it, you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I want. Seeing Pardo in a club and seeing him just fucking obliterate the place. When all right, let's put it this way. When I saw Jimmy, I saw him the first time I ever saw him was on a night where there were a bunch of other comics, which is absolutely the best way to see him. Okay? Because then you see just how unique and just how different what he was doing at the time was. Because I was coming from comedy, and I'd been in rooms with comedians, and I'd seen it, and I was world weary about it. I was fucking 23 years old at the time. No, I was 26 when I saw Jimmy. I'm 26, and I was just like, whatever. I've seen comedy before. I've seen it all before. And then you see that and you go, and in the middle of seeing other comics, there's a comic, and then Jimmy goes up and he's hosting, and what he's doing is so different and so amazing and so separated from what I've seen and I'm experienced in seeing. It's how I felt about seeing Mike Toomey for the first time in Chicago. It's how I felt when I heard Guns N' Roses for the first time. It's just so different, and it resets the bar for everything that you've known and you're going to know going forward. And I know I'm talking about a guy who uses puppets on a television show in England, but when I saw it, it was revelatory, man. It just made me go, this is perfect. It's perfection. And I know, but for you, it won't be. You'll see it and you'll be like, this is stupid and it's retarded and I don't get it. And that's fine. But for me, just know that whenever you watch it, just realize that is what's inside me put into 23 minutes. I can't even explain it any better. Because I would never think to use puppets or paintings or singing or music. I can't do those things. And I've said this before. The only thing I can do is talk. So when I see somebody who could also talk and also color it with so many other talents and so many other things, fuck, he did this painting. He did a painting of a kookaburra and a wallaby in 5 minutes. Granted in 5 minutes, but they condensed it to 30 seconds, while of course Jeremy Beautiful Chest is dancing around. And then there's a great where when he climbs down the ladder and he goes to paint the kookaburra and the wallaby, and Jeremy Beautiful Chest is just doing his thing off in the pen, and Noel Fielding is painting, and then at one point he just climbs in with Jeremy Beautiful Chest and dances for no reason, just does it. Just because, you know what, I'm going to take a break from painting and I'm going to dance with Jeremy Beautiful Chest. And it was such a great instinct because it really brought it together. It wasn't just him painting and that guy dancing. Now they're all in it together. So he goes over to Jeremy Beautiful Chest, who was already in anyway because he made him approve of the paint. But then when he climbs in and he's dancing with Jeremy Beautiful Chest, you're like, yes, that's perfect. That's exactly what you should do. Take a break from painting and go dance with Jeremy Beautiful Chest just for a second. And I know you think I'm an idiot, and I get that. But then he gets out and he finishes the painting of the kookaburra and the wallaby. And let me tell you something, folks. In that 5 minutes, he did something I could never do in my life. I have no art talent at all. I can't paint. I can't draw stick figures. I can't draw a face. I can't doodle. I can't do a fucking thing. And he sat down as a goof. And he painted a kookaburra and a wallaby while Jeremy Beautiful Chest danced around. And I'm like, I can't do that. That's amazing. And then add in the fact that all of the funny is surrounding it in the show. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry to rave, but it's like you get inspired when you see things like that, when you see brilliance. Like I said, when I saw Pardo for the first time, when I saw Dennis Miller, Guns N' Roses, Letterman, all of these things changed my life. And I really feel, and it's going to sound stupid, I'm 45 and I'm still going to do nothing but this podcast, that I'm never going to achieve anything else in my life. But just know that every time I see Noel Fielding, I'm going to watch it and I'm going to be inspired for the time that it's on, and then I'm just going to watch it again. I'm never going to accomplish anything in my life. But still, just knowing that he's out there and that exists, it made me feel amazing. And again, you're not going to feel that way. I'm pretty sure you're not. You're going to go and check it out, and you're going to be like, I don't know what's wrong with Mike, but trust me, just know that that's happening whenever I watch it, or the fact that it exists. And also, I will tell you this, like I said, imagine that's on prime time in England. Imagine if that was on prime time here. If they ran that, like say you're watching The Big Bang Theory or whatever the fuck you watch, and then it ends, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we're going to make 2.5 Men come on, but first, enjoy this. And then you saw Andy Warhol and a sheep and fucking Noel Fielding dressed like Kiss, and he starts dancing around, and then he's in a treehouse, and then they're playing a fucking band that's trapped in a guitar case. You'll see it. And or maybe you won't. You might just give up by then. Who knows? But if they ran that in America, I got to be honest, after the first, literally, I don't think it gets 3 minutes before the president of the network actually walks on and just goes, hey, we're sorry. We apologize. Let's take that off because you hate it. I mean, Americans would just openly rebel against that fucking show because they wouldn't get it. They wouldn't know what the fuck it was. But I mean, it just made me feel like when I saw The Young Ones for the first time on MTV, because they made a big deal about that when I was a kid. The Young Ones, oh, MTV's bringing The Young Ones to TV. And I don't know what the fuck that is. And I was mad because there was going to be videos, but I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And I watched it, and I loved it, every second of it. I fucking loved it to this day. To this day, what'd you say?
Peace for vegetables.
Oh my God, vegetable rights and peace. God damn it. Rick and Neil and Vivian and Mike and fucking Buddy Holly on the stairs, or he's in the attic because he crashed and he's eating bugs. I mean, it's just like, again, brilliance. Stuff that you didn't even fucking see coming. And when I was a kid, I was like, why is this here? All non sequiturs. And the closest thing I think in America is Tim and Eric. All right, when you watch Tim and Eric's show, I watched Noel Fielding and I was like, you know what, that has a Tim and Eric vibe to it. But the thing is, I think Noel Fielding actually cares if you laugh. Like, I think because Tim and Eric are like that same show, but just tinged with anger and contempt for the audience. Like, they hate the people that they use in the show. Like, they're whack pack guys, that idiot with the puppet. God damn it. I'll tell you what, I don't know much about them or their show. I know that I watch it and can't stop watching it because I think it's fucking hysterical. But at the same time, those, because they'll have Will Ferrell and those guys on there, but then they'll have other dudes, and you're like, I want to punch all of those people that are on that fucking show, all of them. And actually, that would be a fun sketch for Tim and Eric. If you guys are listening, if anybody knows Tim and Eric, refer to them to this. If you ever decide, I know that it's over, you guys have moved on to movies and the things that you're doing, that's fine. But if you ever decide to do another Tim and Eric awesome show, great job, just make me like a punching guy, and like when have the guy with the puppet out there, and then the fucking the idiot who can't speak, and I just come in and I punch them and finish every sketch by punching them. God damn, that's a brilliant sketch, right? Let's do that. Actually, everybody should have that sketch. Noel Fielding, if you want to put me in a sketch, whenever you have that stingray in the tank, I come out and I punch Jeremy Beautiful Chest and I punch the stingray. Holy shit, I've created a character myself in all these different shows. I think I'm in. That's my, you know what? That's my inspiration. As I watched it, I said I was inspired to do nothing. Bullshit. I'm inspired to make myself a character, the punching guy, and I just show up and punch everybody. Right? Right? No.
You are listening to The 40-Year-Old Boy, and later, Alfonso Gil stars in Pepe and the Chupacabra.
I'm just gonna do this one.
Okay.
What's his name? Oh,
Ed Kupfer.
that's Cooper.
All right.
There we go, Ed Kupfer.
Cooper. This is ground control to Ed Cooper.
Take that cigarette out of your mouth. And don't try to look so hard in all of your photos. Who are you trying to impress? You don't know.
Stupid.
So Lily just told me that Mike Nesmith is coming back to the Monkees. I mean, that makes zero sense. Because it was funny. Lily said to me, she goes, did you hear that Mike Nesmith's coming back to the Monkees? And I said, he must have hated Davey. Like, that was the first thing out of my mouth. And then Lily goes, yeah, that's the first thing I thought of too. But apparently he reconnected with them at a Davy's memorial service and decided that he wanted to actually do some stuff with them. And then we both looked at each other and we both went, man, he fucking hated Davey. I mean, honestly, that's the only reason to come back. Because Davy's gone and now he figures, well, the coast is clear. They got rid of the fucking English midget. So, I mean, that's fine. And by the way, by saying they got rid of the English midget, I'm not saying that Peter Tork and Michael Nesmith murdered Davy Jones. All right, I'm not saying that at all. It wouldn't make any sense. Now, if you were to tell me that Mickey Dolenz and Davy Jones murdered Peter Tork, that would make sense. Although Peter's been in jail, and I think he was raped. Anyway, so that's a long. Isn't it? All right, this sounds so stupid. Peter Tork went to jail in like Oklahoma for having hard drugs, and he was there for like 6 months. And then when he came out, he was talking about how prison had changed him and all these terrible things. And when I read it, I was reading between the lines of it. And in my opinion, I think Peter Tork was raped in prison. He got Zoran Zammed right behind the bars. That's what happened to him, goddammit. Cheer up, Sleepy Peter. It's just your cellmate. See, awful, right? This is terrible. And I could never make those jokes if Davy Jones were alive. Once he died, I went to the memorial service. I reconnected with these guys. I'm like, yeah, Peter was raped in prison. Why don't I go ahead and make some jokes about it? Terrible. But it's a theory. Go look it up. I'm serious. Like, look at the weird timeline and then what happened. And it's like, that he became a bitter, angry man, a bitter, angry Tork after getting out of jail. And then he started like advocate for like prisoners' rights. Maybe I'm making up half of this. I could have made up all of this. I have no idea if it's true. Peter Tork was never in jail. Davy Jones isn't dead. Folks, I don't know if forget everything you ever thought you knew about the Monkees. Everything you think you know about the Monkees is false. I'm turning it on its ear, goddammit. I'm bringing you monkey truth. Davy Jones is not dead. Michael Nesmith is not a recluse millionaire who's got all of his mom's money and can't spend it on everyone. Mickey Dolenz is not a glory hog. Peter Tork was not raped in prison. Forget it all. All these facts about the Monkees that you think you know, I'm taking them out, spinning them on their ear. All right, so spinning them on their ear, that's what you do. You put them on your ear, you turn them on their ear, you flip them on their ear. All right. It's a lot of ears. It's a lot of ears with the Monkees. Although I can tell you that Davy Jones is short and he has no ear for music. That's my favorite sketch ever from the Monkees. Because they played monkey men and they had to go save, it was Mike and Davy dressed up as monkey men, and they had to go save Mickey and Peter, who were being held by these Asian guys who wanted the doomsday bug. So they wound up having the monkey men had a insult off. I forget what the fuck they called it. God damn it. But they insulted the Asian dudes. And it was so funny. It was a thing we used to do as kids. We would say this to one another because then the Asian dude looked at Mickey because Davy Jones said some mean things to the Asian dude and he was like, oh, he recoiled in horror. And then the Asian dude said, you're short. And Davy Jones went, ah. And he goes, you're short and you're tone deaf. You have no ear for music. And Davy Jones was like, oh, Mike, help me. And then Mike looked at the Asian guy and he goes, you're ugly, ugly, ugly. No one loves you. No one ever loved you. Your mother never loved you. Nobody loves you, least of all me. And we used to say that when we were kids to one another all the time. You go, you're ugly, 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 and nobody loves you, least of all me. All right, there you go. And meanwhile, Peter Tork getting raped by the Asians. It was terrible. It was awful. But then he played a harp, and the devil set him free. All right, never mind. All these monkey plots that you don't know about, folks. I watch them now. The Monkees are on periodically, and I watch them. And they don't hold up for you. They hold up for me. God damn it, they hold up for me. And the monkey music is amazing. Although now I can't imagine what the fuck they're going to do without Davy. How the fuck is Mike coming back in to make anything work? It doesn't work. Davy was the heart and soul of the Monkees. Take it from me, guy who's never met any of the Monkees. If anybody knows the inside scoop about the Monkees, folks, it's a guy who watched them as a child and never met them or had any dealings with them in the future. I've gotten right to the bottom of monkey mystery. Speaking of monkeys, I've been told by my friend to switch to MailChimp. I don't know if that means anything to you guys, but it means something to me. All right, so, folks, let's talk about something that I was supposed to talk about last week until we showed up with Indianapolis Interrupted. That's what I'm calling last week's show. Indianapolis Interrupted. Because I got to talking last week, and then I was talking about other things, and then I wound up in a mustache twirl, as you all know. And so I did not get to speak to you about what happened in Indianapolis. And I will tell you this. I was surprised. I thought the people of Indianapolis, the people who I had seen at the show, would be angry at me and wonder why I didn't talk about it. Because people, I've talked about this before. You know, people expect certain things from you when you do a show. You do it every week. You do it at a certain time and it comes out. And whenever it's late, I will hear from people, where's the show? When's it coming out? What's going on? Is there a show? And I used to think that was because everybody knew that at any given moment I was going to have a fight with Lily or whoever was producing the show and there would never be another show. But now I think it's just because you've become accustomed to getting it at a certain time, which is nice. And I'm glad that you guys care. But I was disappointed. I didn't want to disappoint Indianapolis people last week. And then, very nicely, some of the people who were in Indianapolis wrote me and were like, dude, we don't care. Just do a show. It's great. We like hearing you talk, which was fine. So thank you. I appreciate everybody assuaged my feelings because I beat myself up over it. I fucking left. I got in the car. I actually drove from Lily's and I almost turned around and came back and just went, we got to do Indianapolis. Like because we're so, I've set, I don't want to say a pattern, but it just, that's how it works. I go out of town, then I tell you about it the next week. And I was very worried about disappointing you, but you guys were very nice to assuage my feelings because, again, I was in the car and actually flinching about it, but everybody was very nice. So I've decided not to talk about Indianapolis at all. You guys were so nice about it. I think you've actually decided that I don't need to speak about it ever. So good for you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And that's just something we'll keep between us. Me and all the people who came to the Indianapolis show and anybody who I met out there, let's just, you know what, we'll keep those memories for ourselves. Why should I share with everyone? That's the way I'm going to do it in every city from now on. I'll do a city, and then whatever I do, it's like, they say whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Whatever happens in Indianapolis stays in Indianapolis. Whatever happens in Detroit stays in Detroit. I don't have a Detroit date. Don't panic, Detroit. Our friends Alex and Dave and other nice people are like, you got to come to Detroit. Yes, I'm trying. I've tried, except for all of your buildings are filled with squatters, so there's no way I can book a show there. There was one theater. I've talked about that. And then people wrote me and they're like, what was the theater? And I told them, they go, I've never heard of that theater. I said, it looked good to me. So, no, of course I'll tell you what happened in Indianapolis, folks. I did a show. You guys can get me at, no, that would seem weird. Just ended it. There, I did a show. Because in reality, I could do that. I could just very simply say, hey, I did this, and then we're done. What if I did that? I think I'm going to try that next week. I'm going to tell stories with no embellishment next week, with no living within the story, and I'll be done in 9 minutes. Do it now? All right.
Tell us about your trip there.
I got on a plane. That would be awful. No, I went to Indianapolis a couple of weeks ago, and this was a show. This show was this was one of the first pages. I think it was actually the first page established on Facebook to get me to come to town, but it took a long time to book it. I tried and tried. Our friend David Kemp went ahead and started that page, and there was another guy. Was it Jared? Yeah, a comedian named Jared from, he was in Indianapolis at the time, and he wanted to start a page, and then David Kemp started a page. So then Jared wrote me and goes, oh my God, I was going to start a page, because he wanted a gravy train on David's glory. And he goes, so since I didn't start a page, here's this. And he sent me like 14 venues, like all the phone numbers and shit. So good for Jared. Jeremy. It's not Jared. Did I say Jared?
Yeah.
It's Jeremy. Because Jeremy's a comedian. You know what? Here's why. All right, fuck. You want to know why I messed that up, folks? Here's why. Here's how my brain works. Jeremy's a comedian, and he was in Indianapolis. I'll give you this thumbnail real fast. So he sent me all the venue information, and then I went and did Chicago, and he's like, well, I won't go to Chicago because you're going to be coming to Indianapolis soon anyway. And then I didn't book it. And then he moved to Chicago, and then I booked a show in Indianapolis. But then Jeremy came to the Indianapolis show, whatever, I'll get to that later. But the reason I said Jared is because there's another guy, a comedian who listens to me named Jared, who just wrote me this week. I went onto Facebook, and you guys go onto Facebook and you'll have, events that you're invited to and people who want to be friends and all that sort of thing. So I went on and there was events, and I was invited to a comedy show. Jared, a comedian, had invited me to a comedy show in New York. And I get those all the time. There's a guy in Texas. There's guys in Canada. There's people all over the place who are my friends. People in the United Kingdom who invite me to go to things that I can't, obviously, because I live here. So I just decline. And I don't write anything on the page because who the fuck cares? You invited 5,000 people. You're not going to miss me. So Jared invited me. I went on and it said, Jared has invited you to a comedy show in New York. And I immediately refused. And then I went to my messages because I had some messages. And one of them was from Jared. And he said, hey, I don't know if you saw, I went ahead and invited you to a comedy show here in New York. I'm sure you probably can't come, although it would be the greatest if you could. But the reason I'm inviting you is because you inspired me to do comedy. The only reason I went on stage is because when I talked to you in New York, you encouraged me, and I had told you then that you were encouraging me, and you inspired me, and so then you told me that I should do it, so I am. I did an open mic, and then I signed up for this thing, and it's this Friday, and I'm inviting you because I would really like to go, and it would be nice if you could come. And also, I would like to discuss it with you. Here's my phone number if you want to talk to me about it, and we can talk about comedy and whatever else. So that's why I have Jared in my brain about comedy, because that's because he just did that. And then I immediately looked at his phone number and I laughed out loud because no offense, Jared, I'm not calling you. But then I wrote him a note. I wrote him a very long note talking about comedy and all that sort of. But I don't. I don't call everybody, Jared. Let's put it that way. I mean, no offense to you. I'm glad I inspired you. And I hope you do very well this Friday. But I'm not calling you ever in a million years. That's fine. And he even warned me. He's like, hey, if you call me, I got to warn you, I have kids and they might wake up. Well, why would I ever call you then at that point? If you tell me to call you, that's bad enough. But then you throw in caveats. Guess what? I'm out the fucking door. I actually saw your phone number and I called my phone company and had them disconnect all of my phone service just so I could never accidentally ever dial you. Good for you, Friday. I hope it goes very well. And I even said in the note, you got to tell me how it goes because I do care. I want to know, and I'm glad that I inspired you, and so thank you for the kind words. But holy shit, am I never calling you? So that was the Jeremy thing. That's how they got all fucked up. So David started the page, David Kemp, and then Jeremy. I'm not going to say Jeremy's last name. I don't know if he wants me to, but Jeremy wanted to. I almost said his last name there. Now I should just say it because everybody knows what it starts with now because they heard the first letter. True. A little detective work. You guys can find out. Who cares? Really? A little detective work. You can find a Jeremy who likes me. How stupid is that? So what? Find him. I'm sure he's not ashamed of it. There's a Jeremy out there who likes me. So go ahead and look him up. But he sent me a bunch of venues in Indianapolis. This is a long time ago, man. This is like a year and a half ago when I first started doing the Facebook stuff. So I looked through the venues and I would call and. I started running into this thing that I will tell you this. I'm running into the same thing in St. Louis. Mike, who started the St. Louis page, sent me a bunch of St. Louis venues, and so I called them all, and I started looking on their websites. Venues, here's what I'm going to tell you. I don't have any pyro. I'm not Great White. You don't need to worry about me coming in and leveling your building, because all of them now, they want a fee to rent the building, and I have to have an insurance policy, a personal insurance policy that insures the building on the night of my performance, which, dudes, I don't have health insurance. Like, you think I'm gonna have building fucking insurance? That sounds right to you? Do you have an insurance? Do you have a thing for the 3 clubs?
I don't need one at the 3 clubs because I'm producing an event. But if you produce theater, don't ask me why it's different. But if you produce theater, they usually require you to have the $1 million liability.
Fuck them. You know what I mean? It's like, because I'm hearing that from a lot of places. They're like, you need to have your own personal insurance in place. It's like, fuck that.
It's like $30.
I don't give a fuck. I'm going to talk. It's the principle of the fucking thing, really. I'm not even juggling and could accidentally drop a ball on a mouse and then he runs away and he bites somebody. It's like, your building, hey man, if your infrastructure is that fucked up that you need me to insure myself to come there, then that's on you. That's not on me. Nobody's going to get hurt in the fucking show that I'm at unless your building collapses. And again, go ahead and you know what? I should do that. I go, you know what? I will pay for my own personal insurance. However, I'm going to have 2 carpenters come out and they're going to look at the building and make sure and see that there's no structural flaws. But if there are, you're going to fix them before I get there on your dime and you're going to pay my carpenters. I mean, it's just stupid. Whatever. So I'm getting a lot of that in St. Louis now where people want me to have my own personal insurance. And it's like, dudes, fuck off. So I was getting a lot of that in Indianapolis. And then there was one particular venue, and it was the one that Jeremy was like, hey, dude, this one might be the one to go with. And it was the Indie Fringe Theater. I've talked about it on here before. You've heard this. I apologize. We're just going to plow forward. But, everybody cares. You care. So I'm going to go forward and tell you, I called them, and there was a woman named Pauline who ran the joint, and she was fucking English or Australian or some weird accent, which I could not understand in Indianapolis. Why are you there? What fate, what horrible crime did you commit down under that led you to hide in Corntown? What the fuck? But she took my call, and I wanted to book the place, and she flat out told me, I'm sorry, that doesn't sound like anything we'd be interested in. Like, she was very nice about it, but very businesslike and saying, nah, we wouldn't have you. I said, well, it's a one-man show. I come and I talk and, people will come. She's like, nah. And I was like, all right. And it was weird because that was the one everybody told me was going to be right. Like Jeremy told me it was right. And David had actually mentioned it too. Oh no, David didn't mention it. It was Jeremy and somebody else who lived in Indianapolis, a guy who emailed me, but they turned me down, and I've talked about that on here before. So then I called other venues, and I tried to find another place. It looked like I was going to be on the campus of Ball State. I mean, like there was all these different things in play. And finally, I found a place in Indianapolis and this took a year, and they didn't even book me. This was just a place that was willing to take my calls and negotiate. Like everybody else they would refer me to 9 emails and all these different fucking places and whatever. But this place finally was in Indianapolis proper. I got to fucking quit doing that. I did it earlier and it drives me crazy. Every time I do that, folks, I stop and I look at Lily and she's like, don't worry about it. But I eat words and I'm worried that I don't fucking say them correctly and I don't enunciate because that's not me. But I'm trying to hurry through this, but I shouldn't. All right. What was I talking about? Indianapolis. So I, before I just kicked my own ass in front of you guys. So I finally got a place in Indianapolis that was willing to talk and negotiate price and things like that. And as we talked, I was trying to find a date with them, and it wasn't working. And they were very nice. And there were two venues that I was dealing with. One of them had a guy who was cool, but he told me his wife did all the booking. But he said they'd love to have me and they'd love to do it, but I had to call his wife, and then she, of course, never called me back. I called her 3 times. This other place was very nice, and he was really cool about it. And he said, you know what? The dates I wanted they didn't have because it was between shows. They were dark, but they would be building sets for the next show. So he's like, yeah, I don't know if we can get you in there. I go, dude, I don't mind doing it amidst rubble. I go, seriously, if you get me in there, it's just me standing on stage, and you can have I said, I'll just make fun of the fucking stage for an hour. I don't care. And he's like, nah, you know what? We don't do that because, you know, it's just a hazard for people sitting there, and who knows if the stage is going to be strong enough. He goes, you know, you should really look at somewhere like the Indie Fringe. And I said, dude, I called them and she turned me down. He goes, what? I said, I called her a year ago. It was like the first place I called because everybody told me that was the place to go. And she said no. He said, that doesn't make any sense. He goes, they're dark a lot of the time. And this is exactly what they do. They put on shows where people come in and talk, like 1-man shows or 2-man shows. And I said, well, I guess I'll try it again. That's fine. And he was very nice. And he said, well, if you want me to call Pauline for you, I will. I said, if you want to, go ahead. I go, I don't know if it's going to fucking help anything. And then I'll try to call her again. And a couple days went by, and I decided to try Pauline again because I was like, you know what? I'm not getting anywhere with anybody here. I hadn't heard back from that guy's wife. So I called Pauline. And I got her on the phone. She answered. The weird thing is the phone number that I had for the club was her cell. So, because when I called her, she was out eating a sandwich somewhere. She wasn't at the club itself or the theater. And I said, hi, Pauline, my name is Mike Schmidt. And I explained who I was, and I said what I wanted to do. And she's like, that sounds great. I think that's something we'd definitely like to do. And I didn't want to say to her, you know, you turned me down a year ago, because then that's going to give her the opportunity to fucking turn me down again. I just went, good, let's book it. Done right now. Let's go. And she went ahead and she looked, and we found a date right then. And I said, as far as I'm concerned, this is booked. And I sent her an email. I said, we're booked for this date, and I'm in, and here's what I need. And I sent it all to her within 5 minutes, like, because I wasn't about to get canceled again. And I wasn't about for her to go, oh, yeah, I remember that guy. I told him no a while ago. So it was a fucking mystery. I have no idea what changed their mind. I have no idea why all of a sudden they decided I was good and why she turned me down before. I was trying to think of what trigger or what secret word I had said. All right, you got to get rid of the hiccups. Honest, I swear to God, I know it's not your fault. It's not your fault, but it's like, I'll wait. I mean, because I'm talking, poor Lily, she's in my peripheral vision, and I can see her go, and her chest bounces, her tits bounce whenever she does the hiccups. So it's like, I'm like, no, it's fine. Keep, please. That's the best part of it. It's like, I'm okay with that, but I know you must be in agony because there's nothing worse than fucking hiccups. You sure? All right. And if you want to bounce your tits periodically during the show, I'm glad. Go for it. Put that. You know what? A pad of paper definitely covers up your tits. By all means. Yeah, squish it in there. All right. But it was like, as I was talking, folks, I kept, out of peripheral vision, I kept seeing it. It was like that smoke alarm. You guys thought you heard that? You kept hearing that? I keep hearing hiccups and seeing her, unfortunately, jolt. And because I hate hiccups. Oh, my God, do I hate them. You okay? Or now, oh, no, that's a yawn. Holy shit. Now she's over it. Now she's completely bored with the whole thing. All right, so I'm terrible to me, not to you. So I don't know what the fuck changed Pauline's mind, but I was booked. So I was ready to go, excited, booked, squared away, and then I was trying to sell tickets to you guys. And, oh, by the way, Indianapolis, you were the first page to get on board, but then you were among the last to buy tickets ever. Like I kept telling you guys over and over, hey, buy tickets for Indianapolis. We need tickets. And I know it sounds like I'm begging, and that's the thing that I hate. That's the thing I really fucking hate. I love doing the show. I don't even mind the seek and destroy with the theaters. You know what I mean? That's because there is a great sense of triumph when you actually find somebody and they say yes, and you book it and you send your money and everything's squared away. Because then I know I have the anticipation of announcing it to you guys. It's a whole exciting thing. But the selling the tickets part, I fucking hate. Because I got to put it on Facebook, and then I tell you on here, and I'm just begging the whole time with my hand out, just trying to convince you to come and see me. And then you guys do a great job of not buying any tickets, so it makes me continue to beg you over and over and over. I don't know what it is, man. Nobody buys tickets. And I book these shows like 2 months in advance. So for 2 months, it'll be stagnant. Like I always think on the first day, there should be a stampede. Everybody buys a bunch of tickets, and then no sales. Well, no. Nobody buys anything for fucking 2 months, and then Well, I mean, I'll just tell you this for Indianapolis. A couple weeks ago, like as late as 10 days before the show, I had only sold 12 tickets. And, I got to pay for the theater, and you don't want to hear all this blah, blah, blah. And I was going to come out there and stay, but then there was the Brickyard 500, so I was going to try to find a hotel. But then our friend Heidi, who I will get to more in a minute, Heidi, friend of the show, stepped up and she's like, oh my God, I am so far behind on your show, but I just heard that you're coming to Indianapolis. You are staying nowhere but with me. You are not getting a hotel. You are staying at my house, goddammit. I will not hear no for an answer. And I was like, Jesus Christ, Heidi, enough. This is a woman I've met for 5 minutes in my entire life, and she's screaming at me through email. You're coming to my house. You're staying here. It's not even an option. It's not even an issue. We're not discussing it. Okay. Because as I found out about Heidi, man, that is a type A lady. I mean, Jesus Christ, she is not fucking around at all. And I'll get to that in a minute. So that saved me some money because I didn't have to book a hotel. But still, selling 12 tickets, I don't want to play to. And it's not even about. Well, it is about ticket money because I don't want to take a loss. But at the same time, it's more about. I don't want to play to an empty room. And also, fuck, if I sell 12 tickets, that means, oh shit, nobody wants to see me. And that's terrible. That's a horrible revelation. Because you guys, as I've mentioned, you're all spread out all over the place. So I had sold 12 tickets for over 2 months of Indianapolis. And then I kind of put the hard sell up and I started putting it on the page a little bit. And some tickets started to sell. So every night I would see tickets were selling, and then I was going to fly out. And I should tell you, we wound up selling like 55 tickets, which was great. I was really cool. People walked up. And then actually there was a listener of the show who I mentioned. He bought 5 tickets for people who could not afford tickets. Like, he's like, yeah, we'll just get 5 comps in there. I'll buy 5 tickets for you as a donation to the show, and you just let 5 people see you, which was real nice. I mean, he didn't have to do that. And he also doesn't want me to say his name. So if you think I'm avoiding thanking him, it's only because he said to me, don't say my name. And I said, okay, guy who doesn't want anybody to know you're a fan of the show, whatever. Take a cue from Jeremy and David and Heidi and Jared and Elaine. I haven't mentioned Elaine yet. All right. Elaine, that was literally just a random Facebook name that popped into my head. And Suzanne. What about Suzanne and Sue and Heidi? I mentioned Heidi. All right. Yeah, I know. I'm talking in circles. So I get ready to go to Indianapolis. Like I said, we wound up selling 55 tickets, which I don't think that's giving anything away. I would have told you that eventually. But it was still in play even as I was getting on the plane. But people bought tickets the last few days, or the last day, and then there were walk-ups too. We had like 10 walk-ups. I flew on a Thursday. I've been flying on Wednesdays because I've been meeting Kickstarter people, and it just didn't make sense this time because, again, I didn't even know where I was staying until Heidi leaped into action. So I decided to fly Thursday because I had nobody there had shown any real interest in. It wasn't I didn't owe anybody dinner. All right, let's put it that way. I didn't owe anybody any Kickstarter stuff, and I was gonna I'll save $1, some hotel stuff. But if I'd have known I was staying with Heidi, I would have come in on Wednesday because then I would have just stayed at her house for an extra day. But Heidi was way behind in the shows, which makes, because she listens to 1,000. Dude, Heidi listens to so many podcasts. Like, she told me she's got 8 billion podcasts, and she listens to them. All right, here's how crazy Heidi is for podcasts. All right, Heidi works at a job where she travels quite a bit, and she flies a lot. But now she's decided that any work appointment that's 6 hours or less away, she drives so she can listen to podcasts. Jesus Christ, is that crazy? That's fucking crazy, right? But she listens to Doug and the Sklars and me and Jimmy, and because she's friends with Jimmy Pardo. She knows him from the club in Indianapolis. I'll get to that in a minute. So I flew out of Orange County, California, because then I was looking. Look, I don't understand what it is with the Midwest. I don't know why I can't just fly right to you. I don't know why you insist on making me hopscotch across the fucking country. But it's that way with Indianapolis. It's that way with goddamn Milwaukee. When I go to Milwaukee, I mean, it's just a fucking Milwaukee. It's 90 miles from Chicago, all right? I should have just flown to Chicago and then drove the 90 miles. It would have been easier. But instead, what I'm doing is I'm flying to fucking, Dallas. I have to fly to Dallas, and then I have like an hour and a half layover, and then I have to fly to Milwaukee. So I'm leaving at 6 in the morning, but I don't get to fucking Milwaukee till 4:30 in the afternoon, which drives me fucking crazy. I hate it. I hate losing a day in the air. Stupid time difference flying to the future. And I guess I should have just, I could have flown to Chicago and been there by noon and then driven to Milwaukee and been there by 1:30. It would have saved me 3 hours. Yeah. But then I got to buy a car. Or not buy a car. I got to rent a car. and which I'm not doing because I haven't been doing that. I've been taking cabs. Although you know what, I'm in Milwaukee, and then going to Green Bay. There can't be any cabs there, right? It's Wisconsin. There's no cabs. There's no public transportation to speak of. What do you got? You got cows. You guys just saddle up a cow, cut off some cheese, and then enjoy the ride. That's what you do. But luckily, I've had people who volunteered to ship me around Milwaukee and Green Bay, which is nice. Thank you. What the fuck was I talking about? You know why? Because in my head, I have the vision of me hopping on a cow, slicing off some cheese, and riding into the distance, like into the sunset. Because I was so proud of that imagery. I'm like, you just hop on a cow and you slice off some cheese and enjoy the ride. And then I went, well, actually, that doesn't sound bad. I flew out of Orange County. All right, that's what it was. So in order to save some money flying to where you are, I have to fly out of Orange County to go to Indianapolis. And it was also, there was a layover. I had to fly to Dallas. Fucking American in Dallas. It just drives me crazy. I don't know what the point is. I don't know why you got to keep stopping in Dallas. Just fucking fly straight through. Fuel the thing up. I'm not 9/11. I'm not Al Qaeda. Just fly me to where I need to go, for fuck's sake. Even though I keep flying American because I love them. I enjoy American Airlines. Let me tell you something right now. I don't care if you're a doctor, if you know a doctor. You need to tell them to listen to the last 2 minutes of this show, the previous 2 minutes, and then play it for any patient they think may have ADD anywhere on the earth. Seriously. You will never hear a better verbal interpretation of what ADD is than the last 2 minutes of this show, the previous 2 minutes that I just went through, where I hopped around from fucking, I don't even know. I swear to God, I don't even know. It was something about Dallas and Milwaukee, and then I was flying, and then I wasn't flying, and then I like American, and then I don't, and then I like lightning bugs. What the fuck? Shut up. Tell the fucking story. All over the place, just fucking verbal hopscotch. Jesus Christ. You know, I'm worried about a nonstop flight, and then I don't want to stop. How about a nonstop show? How about you know what? How about a direct flight from here to the end, all right? Instead of all these fucking stops all over the rest of the goddamn country. What the fuck? Quit diverting yourself. Jesus Christ. All right. So I flew out of Orange County because it saved me money. If I would have flown out of LAX, I would have got to Indianapolis at like 7 o'clock at night, but it would have been another $140. So I said, fuck that. I booked it out of Orange County. And like I told you, I booked that when my wife wasn't working, but then she wound up getting a job. So I'm like, how the fuck am I going to get to Orange County? Well, luckily she said she would still take me. So I woke her up at like 2:30 in the morning. She got up and we went down to Orange County together. I get to the airport in Orange County and it's dead, man. There's fucking nobody there at John Wayne International Airport. I hop in, I go to security, and it was pretty quick. And you know what? I took my belt off because, look, for years, I'm traveling all the time, and I've told you the stories of my belt. I don't want to take my belt off. They make me take my belt off. I let my pants fall down. It turns into a thing. But now, everybody's up the ante. Shatner's got his pants off. There's a dude naked in fucking Denver. It's like, I can't compete with that, man. I thought I was a trendsetter. I thought I was the guy, I let my pants fall down and change the game. Now they're used to it. They've seen it. They saw fucking old dude's balls in Denver, for fuck's sake. Another lady stripped down in fucking Cincinnati or wherever. Jesus Christ. Now I look like I'm hacking. It's like I won't go all the way. I'm the fucking PG of the R-rated passengers. That's fucked. I don't want to be PG. Granted, you get a better crowd and your box office is a little larger, but you're not as cutting edge and people just tend to forget you. So I've just started taking my belt off, man. I'm like, fuck it. And it's like if I try to hold my pants up because I have to hold a fistful of them like a fucking hillbilly as I go through the thing. And then you got to put your hands up and I got to position my hips, whatever the fuck. So I go through security and there's really nobody there. I take my belt off. I put everything through. And my pants are going to fall, but I hold them up and they go, all right, put your hands over your head. So I do, and my pants kind of come halfway down, but I position my hips. And I have to stand in like a superhero stance to keep my pants up. And you know what's funny? And then I have to turn around with my hands up and walk out of the sensor area. It's John Wayne International Airport. It's very, very apropos because I walk like John Wayne getting out of the fucking security thing. I'm like, yeah, hey, partner, just to keep my fucking pants up, I got to waddle out like a goddamn cowboy. So it's like, hey, the Duke is here. So I waddle out, and I'm standing there, and my pants are there. And this is so funny. There's an old dude, because now you got to go through the sensor, and then I guess they get a report where they clear you and they let you go. Because in every other airport I've ever been in, I just walk out, and the guy goes, all right, go ahead. They never said anything about a sensor. They never said, well, so I get to this old dude, and I'm just ready for him to tell me to go ahead. And I'm holding my pants up, and he looks at me and he goes, hey, young man. He goes, take a look at that screen. Let's watch together. I don't know what that means. So I turn around and I look, and there's an outline of a body, like of a human. And it's me, but it's not fat me. It's like I'm normal, even in their interpretation of me, which is good. Because you know what? How crazy would it be if they made a fat guy? Like they put up a fat guy picture, you'd lose your fucking mind. You'd sue the airport, right? Or a fat lady? Holy shit, that'd be terrible. Oh my God, what if they made me a fat lady? Oh, awful. God damn, that's terrible. Instead, there's just like a normal silhouette. And then he goes, all right, young fellow, let's watch that together. So I'm waiting for him to put his arm around me and get some popcorn. I turn around and I look. And then there's like a bing noise, and 3 yellow dots come up on the guy, the little guy. And he's like, oh, he goes, we got to check those out. So I guess that means 3 problem areas on me. And where the problem areas are on my midsection and on both of my knees, on my right knee and my left knee. Wait a minute. I think there's only 2. There was only 2 dots. Yeah, it was my knee and my midsection. There was only 2 dots. Folks, it was 2 weeks ago. If I'd have told the story last week, flawless. But again, Indianapolis interrupted. So I got my hands, and he goes, all right, fella, we got to check that out. And it's on like up around my ribs, and then on my left knee. And he goes, all right, let's check that out. And he reaches over, and this is not a joke. The dots on my ribs and the dots on my knee. He goes, all right, young fella, put your hands out. Let's check this out. I put my hands out, and he just grabs my balls. He grabs my balls. Like not even... It wasn't like a pat down or my thigh. He went right for him. Like a goddamn ball shark. Like he just zoomed right in on my fucking balls. And in a handful. Not even like he didn't juggle them or anything. He gripped them. Like he was fucking pulling cock fruit off the Mike Schmidt tree. Like he just fucking reached out, grabbed my ball sack like it was a lime, and went to fucking take it right off. And he just grabbed that, and he didn't squeeze it. It was like he just, I guess, checked to see that they were there. I don't know what the fuck it was. And this is not going to work because this is a verbal show and you have to see what he did. Okay, but I'm going to try to verbalize it as best that I possibly can. He's like, all right, let's take a look. He reaches down. There's no pretense at all about my thighs, my leg. He just reaches in and grabs a handful of balls. And then he like bends over and he does this. He you know what he did? He passed his hands over my thighs, like over my waist, without touching me, like a magician trying to make me disappear. He grabbed my balls and then he leaned forward and he was like, you know what he did? He made jazz hands over my balls. That's what he did. He gave me jazz hands to find out what the fuck was going on with and I'm like, dude, that's not my ribs or my knee. He grabbed a handful of balls and then he gave me jazz hands and he's like, okay, you're fine. I'm fine. I can't even explain it. It's like he just leaned forward. I wish you could see it. It was both hands and just, he didn't exhale, by the way. He should have. Oh my Christ, he really should have. For the move that he pulled off, he should have gone. But it worried me because I thought he made my balls disappear. I wasn't sure if that happened. So then I had to grab a fucking handful of cock fruit off the Mike Schmidt tree and make sure they were still there. They were. So I grabbed my belt, I put it on, and I grabbed my stuff, and I walked out of security to the shoveling area. Walked over to get shoveled. It's like, what was it, 5 in the morning? I think it was. It was early. It's like 5:15. My flight was at 6:20. So I walk over, and I was starving because I hadn't eaten. I get shoveled. I throw on my shoes, my belt, my fucking clothes. My clothes, I was disrobed. Folks, I was so disrobed. So I walked to get some food, man, because I was starving. I hadn't eaten because I had done, Wednesday I'd done the podcast, and I had talked about shirts for fucking 9 hours. And then I left, and I went home, and there was no food really at the house, and I had to concentrate on getting packed and stuff anyway, so I didn't grab any food. And I forgot to grab some fruit, whatever the fuck. You don't care. Nobody cares. Actually, you care. Everybody cares. So I was looking for food in the airport. So I walked down. There's a Wolfgang Puck. I don't like eating a Wolfgang Puck in the airport just because it's there's nothing good or special about it. I know it's weird. It's better than McDonald's, but it's still the same food everywhere you go. It's still like there's no flair to it. And I don't know what the fuck I'm looking for flair in the goddamn airport at a food place for, but I think you know what I mean. There's nothing special. It might be Wolfgang Puck and he's a brilliant chef, but when you walk in, it's just the same glop every fucking place you go. It's just they call it Wolfgang Puck. So, but it didn't, so I'm like, and I didn't want to eat there, especially in the daytime, because you know what? I just want a pizza. If I'm going to Wolfgang Puck, what do you want? Barbecue chicken pizza. That's it. That's what you want from Wolfgang Puck. But now it's the morning, so they're going to make bullshit breakfast food. And I've talked about this a million times. Fuck you, restaurants in the morning. Just make regular food all day long. Nobody gives a shit about French toast sticks. You're Burger King. Burger's in the title. Make me a fucking burger, you asshat. You're not French Toast King. Oh my God. Why are you not French Toast King? Holy shit. Why isn't there a French Toast King? How great would that be? You just got a fucking like a cloak made of toast. Oh my God, French Toast King. Oh, I'd love it. I would love it. Pancake King. Why isn't there a Pancake King? There's only a Burger King. You know what? We need a lot more feudal monarchies involved in other food groups. That's what we need. There needs to be a Soup King. There needs to be a Sandwich King. Fuck that. Yes. And not just a Food King. We had that in Animal House. Food King, Food King, Food King, Food King. Flounder was voted the head of the party committee. He had to drive them to the Food King. All right. Again, play this for the ADD doctor. ADD doctor. See, I got to open my mouth when I talk. Fuck. ADD doctor. ADD doctor. ADD doctor. All right. So fuck. Just make me regular food all day long. So Wolfgang Puck, make me a pizza. So I walk down, and it's away from my gate. My gate was right by the shoveling area, so that worked out nicely. But I walk down to go get some food, and I go to Wolfgang Puck. And again, I'm pissed that they're not making regular food, but I'm starving, and I see a sign, and they're making breakfast burritos at Wolfgang Puck. And I figure, you know what? If they're making breakfast burritos, maybe I can get like some of the barbecue sauce from the pizza and throw that in there. And that sounds horrible, but I'm so hungry I don't care at this point. And it's a beehive of activity in Wolfgang Puck. So I walk in, I go up to the counter, and I'm like, "Hi." She goes, "Hey, we're closed." I said, "There's like 1 million people here," and she's like, "Yeah, we open at 5:30." And I look at my watch; it's 5:15, and I'm like, all right, fine. You know, because you're not going to argue. I'm going to say, make me a burrito now, stupid. I can't do that. They're closed. Even though they're all in there and the kitchen's on and I can smell burritos, I go, fuck it, fine. So I turn and I walk out, and there's a Starbucks next to that. And so I'm like, you know what, just get something for the fucking plane. So I go in the line at Starbucks, and I get a water, and I get 2 pieces of lemon loaf, which I'm a fan of. Lemon loaf is, it's like a lemon pound cake with a lemon icing on it. And it's so funny because they have their pastry corral that they have, their pastry jail where you look through the windows and you see everybody. They got scones and muffins and all that bullshit. And then they have the calorie count, which is crazy because, scones only have 295. Then there's a muffin that's got like 400. But then the lemon loaf has 495 calories a slice. So, of course, by all means, order 2, you fat fuck. So I order 2 of those, and I get my water, and I jam it. I'm wearing my hoodie, my flying hoodie. So I jam it in a little kangaroo pouch there. And I go sit down. So they start calling the numbers. They're starting to board the plane. And as we're sitting there, all of a sudden, Wolfgang Puck, I can see that it's open and it's busy and it's up the street or up the terminal, whatever the fuck. And they start boarding the military people and the first class people. And I'm in group 2. And part of me is like, man, I'll bet I could make it. I'll bet I could get a fucking burrito and bring it on the plane. Because I was starving. I was just like, man, go get a burrito. But they start calling people. Then they call group 1, and I'm still sitting there. And in my head, I'm just like, dude, I have to get on the plane because I want to sit down and just fucking go to sleep and get out of everybody's hair. And I'm like, well, get a burrito. And then I go, no, dude, you got 2 pieces of cake in your fucking hoodie. You're going to get a burrito too? What the fuck? Just get your fat ass on the plane. So they call group 2. I climb on. When I checked in, there was nobody sitting next to me when I checked in at 5 o'clock when I got to the airport. So the middle seat is empty. So I was very excited. So it meant I could sleep all the way to Dallas and then sit on whatever the fuck they had for me in Dallas. Fuck you, nonstop flights. Fuck you, non-nonstop flights. So I get in the plane. Nobody's next to me. Woman is sitting in the aisle seat by me with nobody in the middle. And we're getting ready to go. And I said the plane was supposed to leave at like 6:30. Well, now it's 6:40, and we're waiting. And they make an announcement that they're trying to figure some stuff out on the fucking ground. And plus they're waiting for passengers. And I'm like, what does that mean? And it turns out they're standby passengers. And they get on the plane. And there's a couple. I look at them, they get on the plane, and they start walking toward the back of the plane. And that's where I'm sitting. I'm in 25F. And they're walking toward the back of the plane. And as they get closer, I realize they're not a couple. They're a mom and son. But as they get closer, he becomes like larger. He's like a monster. Like she's 5 foot nothing, and he's easily 6'4". To the point where when they get closer, in my head, I'm wondering how the hell she ever gave birth to this monster. I think by the end of it, he was probably just wearing her like a hat. He's like almost all the way out, and then she's around his head like one of those bottle sealers that you have, like a wine cork thing. And he just gets up and he's like, well, I'll walk to the nursery, thanks. And he strides off with her just fucking suction cup to his head. Because he was huge. He was a giant. She was so tiny. So they walk over, and they come down, and there's a middle seat next to me, and then the woman in the aisle seat, and then across the way there's an empty seat. And the mom looks, and she's like, oh, she goes, we flew standby. Would you like to move over here and then we could take those 2 seats? She says to the woman in the aisle. And the woman in the aisle is like, yes, that's no problem. And the mother's like, that's great. And the kid, who's like 6'4", I've never seen a more horrified expression on a person's face. Because he realizes his mom has just bargained him into the middle seat next to fat ass. Like, he's like so pissed. Because again, he's probably only 15, but he's a giant. He's like 6'4", and he's looking at me. So he's going to be tiny with his knees up around his neck. And then I'm stealing the armrest with my loose meat. It's just going to be fucking terrible for this kid. And he's horrified. I can see it. I see it in that look of, I've seen it, that flash of terror. So the woman gets up and goes over to the aisle seat, and the mom looks at the kid, and they put all their stuff in the overhead compartment. And, oh my God, how great would your flight be if you had an overhead companion? Just someone who flew above you and you get to like open up a little window and have a conversation with them. That's so great. That's what we need to do. You know what? They need to stack us in a fucking plane like it's a slave ship. Fuck sitting next to one another. We should all just lay down like cordwood face to face looking at one another and have an overhead companion who talks to you the entire flight. So I'm sitting there and I look and he's horrified, and then his mom goes in and she takes the middle seat. Thank God for both of us. Like literally, he and I make this. We look at one another and we're just like, we dodged a bullet. So his mom comes in and she sits next to me, but she's tiny. And then he sits next to her and they're getting settled, putting their belts on. And I've already got my belt on. I'm squared away, and I give the speech anyway. She's tiny. We're not even close to one another, but I still give the speech anyway that I give to anybody who sits next to me. I lean over and I look at her and I go, hey, I'm sorry, I'm kind of a giant. I'll try to fly as small as I can. I'll squish into the side here. And she's dead serious. She looks at me and she goes, oh, no, that's okay. And she leans forward with a furrowed brow and a serious look on her face. And she looks me in the eyes, like she's not ducking me. She's like, oh, that's okay. Just one thing. And she leans forward with her face and she goes, just please don't pass gas. And meant it. Looked me in the eyes and said it pleadingly, as if I was making her choose between which child was going to go on the train to the camp and which child she got to keep. Just please, don't pass gas. And I looked her in the face and I just went, what? And she goes, just please don't pass gas. And I looked at her and I go, what kind of a monster do you think I am? And right when I said it, it dawned on her what she had said. And I could see her face like kind of skew. And then she started to smile and laugh like nervously. And she just goes, oh my God. I can't believe I said that to you. I can't believe I said that out loud. I said, yeah, I can't either. Seriously, what kind of an animal do you think I am? And I laughed, and then she started laughing, thank God. And she goes, I don't know why I said that. I don't know why I would say that to somebody. I go, exactly, I don't either. I go, is that what you think all fat people do, that we just constantly are eating and farting at all times, no matter where we sit or where we walk? Is that your experience with us? We just can't go 5 minutes without shoving food in our fucking mouth. Like I can't get on this plane without just eating everything I possibly can and then farting like a monster next to you. And she's cracking up at this point, and I'm laughing. And I just went, good God, man. I don't understand this. And she laughed, and she's like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I would never say that. I don't know why I said it. I don't know why I said that. Okay. And she kind of laughed, and she's like, oh, man. And I looked at her, and I go, all right, well, I'm just going to sleep. If that's okay with you, I'll try not to eat you in flight. Is that okay? And I go, I can't believe you just think that we eat all the time. Like I can't control myself on a flight. And she's like, no, I'm sorry. And I go, all right, fine. And I just put on my earbuds and I leaned back and I jammed my fists in my hoodie to go to sleep, where I realized that I've got 2 huge pieces of lemon cake that I brought on the flight for myself because I was starving. So I just spent literally 90 seconds busting her balls about fat people eating at all places at all times. And I reach into my hoodie and I've got 2 huge pieces of cake. which are never getting eaten ever in a million fucking years. Are you kidding me? I don't give a fuck if that plane is crashing and we're on our way down. I will not give her the satisfaction of pulling that cake out of my fucking kangaroo pouch and eating it in front of her, because she's just going to go, aha, I knew it. So now, and I can't even take it out to put it in the fucking drawer in front of me. I got to sit there with just a fucking kangaroo pouch full of cake I'll never eat. God damn it. Just to prove a point. So I fucking went to sleep, and I just sat there with my cake. I'm like, God damn it, I can't eat this cake. Because I was starving. I wanted to eat it. No, I'm not doing it. Not doing it. So I go to sleep. And I wake up periodically, as I do. I look over there talking. I miss the drink cart, whatever the fuck. Who cares? No apple juice, doesn't matter. Go back to sleep, wake up, go back to sleep, wake up. I wake up at one point, and they're reading next to me. She's reading, and the kid is reading. They have Kindles out. So I do a little fucking recon work, some spy work, because I like to do that. I'd like to spy, folks. You know that about me. So I open my eyes, and I kind of lean back, and I look to see what she's reading. And she's got the Kindle in her lap, and I'm seeing various words. And I see the word anal. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? And I'm scanning, trying to find the name of the thing. And she scrolls the page, and it comes up. She's reading 50 Shades of Grey. And then in my head, I'm just like, well, maybe I will eat this woman on this flight. Maybe she's down for that. Maybe that happens. But yeah, so she's reading 50 Shades of Grey, and then in my head I'm like, oh my Christ, she's sitting next to her son, her 15-year-old son, and she's reading 15 Shades. Look, and again, I don't know anything about it. I know what I've heard, and I know that there's certain things in it, but I don't know. All I know is it's supposedly a filthy book for ladies. All right, that's fine. So she's reading that, and I'm like, you're with your son. What are you doing? Have some pride. So her son has got his Kindle out, so I lean over. I can't lean because she's right next to me, but I lean back and I look, and he's got the Kindle because he's got his knees up and his Kindle like on his knees, and I look, and he is also reading 50 Shades of Grey. And now I'm creeped out like you can't believe. I'm horrified. Because I picture the two of them reading them and swapping notes. Like how I would be uncomfortable with my mom reading it next to me. Now I'm reading it at the same time as she is. That's got to be the weirdest fucking book club in the history of book clubs. Hey, Mom, are you up to the fisting part yet? No, son, I'm still on the anal part. Are you? So I'm looking forward to the fisting part. Mom, you got to get to the fisting part. It's amazing. Well, your father and I are still discussing the anal part. I'm sure you are, Mom. Awful. So I was horrified, and I went back to sleep immediately because I didn't want to think of the two of them fucking like reading it and exchanging notes. Oh, Christ, awful. And then part of me is like, maybe they're just like May December. Like maybe they're not even a mom and a son. Maybe they're just like fucking, they're together. And then that's like a training manual for him. Like she's like, hey, you know what? If we're going to do this, I'm going to need you to read this to find out the things that I like. And do me a favor. When we are having sex, please just don't pass gas. So I go back to sleep. We fly. Oh my God. And we land in Dallas. And I wake up. And it's that stupid thing where right when you land, the bing, boom, and everybody fucking stands up, even though they're not getting off the plane for fucking 20 minutes. But I understand it now, okay? I should tell you this. The more I fly, what are you doing? Lily's glasses just fell off her face. That was the weirdest thing ever. Again, out of my periphery, because again, she doesn't want to even be here. So out of the periphery, I have to see her. And then it's like, I just see her face like, get disheveled, and she starts grabbing her head. And I saw it was her, your glasses fell off. All right. It is warm. You get a little slick face, and then boom. Then they did it again. Good for you. Let's just do that. Why don't you just play with your glasses the whole time? They'll fall off. So I understand now why everybody stands up, because they've been sitting down for fucking 4 hours. It makes sense now. Like to me, I was like you're not getting off the plane, but they just maybe want to stand up and stretch, and I should just fucking calm down. So we park, on the ground, and everybody's doing their thing, and they're standing up, and we're still driving toward the gate, and they finally park, and we go to take our belts off and stuff. And I look at the woman, and I said to her, thank you for understanding. I'm a big guy, and I apologize. And she's like, no, that's fine. It went great. Everything was fine. Not a problem. And I said, I hope that I didn't confirm any of your stereotypes while I was asleep. And she said, what? I said, I hope I didn't confirm any of your suspicions while I was napping on the flight. And she's like, I don't I don't know what you mean by that. I said, I didn't fart on you. Because I couldn't believe that she didn't get it. She knew what she said when we started the flight. So it was like I was just essentially saying, hey, look, I didn't fart on you, right? You know what I mean? And she starts laughing and I start laughing. But what I don't realize is that everybody's sitting and standing around us. They're not privy to the conversation from fucking 3.5 hours before. So they think because of the bass in my voice, I'm actually defending myself from an accusation. So they're just standing up and they just see me, this giant guy, lean over to this little woman and go, I didn't fart on you. Like this monster. Like I was disputing her chain of events. Hey, you farted on me. I didn't fart on you. The fuck? But then we're laughing and then I look around and nobody else is laughing. No one? They're wondering if they have to protect this small woman from this fat maniac with cake in his pouch. That would have been great. I should have gotten into a fight and there's cake laying all over. I told you. Fuck. So I get off the plane in Dallas. I walk off, and I think I'll tell you, I don't even think I waited till the end of the jetway to eat the cake. Like I was so fucking starving. I had to go wait for my other flight, and then I went to a barbecue joint in the airport because I was starving, man. I was so hungry. I ate like 6 bites of it, but it was good. It wasn't bad. It was brisket. Don't get airport brisket, by the way. I want side dishes. I'm a side dish guy. I don't need any meat in the airport, but I get it because I'm dumb. Unless you're getting it from Rick Bayless in Chicago. Okay. What the fuck? You don't care. No, everybody cares. You care. So I wait to go on the flight in Dallas. I get on the flight. No, I apologize. I went to the front gate in Dallas to leave because I found that you go to the gate and you can negotiate if there's an empty middle seat, whatever the fuck, you can try. So I walked up to the front and there was just this pissy fucking sky waitress there, and I could tell that she wanted nothing of anybody. She wasn't looking up from her keyboard at all. And I walked up and I said, hey, I have a question. I'm wondering if there's anything to do with, and she immediately goes, full flight today, sir. Didn't even look up. Like I just started to talk, full flight today, sir. Clack, 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 clack. And I stood there because I wasn't leaving without getting acknowledged. And she's clack, 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 clack. And then I just went, full flight then? And she looks up from her keyboard and she goes, yes, full flight today, sir. I said, very good. Thank you. And I walked away. Because I refuse to be treated like a fucking piece of luggage, you dumb fuck. Look at me. I'm a human being. I'm a human being! So I waited to board. Get on. She wasn't lying. Full flight. I'm in 28F. Luckily, the guy in 28E was, everything's great guy. Everything's great. This is great. This whole trip is great. You're great. Look, man, I'm a giant. I apologize. Oh, you're great. Don't worry about it. It's great. And then I knew why, because when he sat down, he pulled out 2 mini liquor bottles out of his pocket. He was half bombed already from his earlier flight, and he had fucking somehow pinched the liquor and brought it onto this flight. And so I again went to sleep, and then woke up to see like 4 bottles of liquor on his thing, and so they gave him more liquor on the plane, and he didn't get sloshed. He was a nice guy. It's so funny. I've always heard that they'll cut you off on the plane or they won't sell you liquor. And he had 2 bottles of liquor when he got on the plane, but he was really good looking. And he was wearing a polo shirt, and he was tan, like a golfer. Like he looked like one of those guys. He's from Newport Beach. So, sky waitresses aren't going to fucking cut that guy off because he's a good looking guy with a tan, right? Like if you're like a fat dude who's just miserable, like, God damn it, get me some booze. They'll be like, shut up. But that guy's just like, everything's great. Can I have some booze? Yes. Here, why don't you shotgun these beers? Because they don't care. They don't discriminate if you have a tan. If you have a tan, folks, you rule the jet stream. That's it. You rule the airways. If you have a tan and a polo shirt, you run that fucking sky train. That's a plane. I call a plane a sky train now because I'm an idiot. Sky train. I wish it was a sky train. You know what? If they started stacking us up like cordwood, we can call it a sky train or a sky ship. Oh my God, a sky slave ship, a sky boat, or a toy boat. Toy boat. Rubber baby buggy bumpers. God damn it. All right. Moron. Talk. Move forward. Stop. You're a shark. Go forward. Be a podcasting shark. Don't be a podcasting dolphin. All right. So, folks. So everything's all right, guys. Fine. I sleep through that fucking flight. And I get to Indianapolis. And our friend Heidi is picking me up. Heidi is a listener to this show. Long-time listener to this show. She knows me from Never Not Funny. She was a huge fan of Never Not Funny because she's a huge fan of Jimmy Pardo. She became friends with him in Indianapolis when he would play at the comedy club where she was working for a time. She no longer works there. She has her other job. But her husband, Chris, he manages I think it's Crackers in Broad Ripple. I don't know. It's a comedy club in Indianapolis. One of the ones that I was not allowed to play. But Jimmy would play there all the time, and he got to be friends with Heidi. And I actually know Heidi's good friend Suzanne. I've gotten to be great friends with Suze. So Heidi contacted me when she found out I was coming. She's like, "You're staying with me no matter what." Now, I should tell you again, Heidi's a big fan of this show, and Heidi's a great fan of Never Not Funny, and she knows Jimmy. I've met Heidi in my life going into this trip for 5 minutes. We've never met. We don't know one another. She knows me through this show and through Never Not Funny. And we met at the live Never Not Funny that we did I don't know if it was the middle of the run or if it was the last one we ever did. I have no idea. All I know is I was fucking hysterical. I don't know if Jimmy ever put that out, but if he did, buy it, because I was never funnier in my life than I was at that fucking live Never Not Funny. I don't know why. I just was. I can still remember a line that I did to this day. I can remember a line that I said on that show that was great. All right, no one cares. Well, you care. Everybody cares. So Heidi's like, "Man, you got to stay with me." I said, "Fine." She goes, "I'll pick you up at the airport. That's fine." And then dude, when I say she's a type A lady, I mean, she was flying at me with all these requests. She's like, "What do you need from me?" I go, "Nothing. If you want to pick me up, that's fine." "Fine, but what do you eat? What do you want in the house? What do you need stocked in the house to eat?" "I'm not eating anything in your house ever. You don't need to stock the house with food for me. That's fine." "No, I just want to make sure that you're comfortable. I want to make sure that it's fine. What kind of Propel do you drink?" I said, "Just Propel is fine." So then she texts me because I sent her my phone number. I called her and I leave a phone number. She texts me. She's like, "Oh my God, I'm really sorry. I can't find Propel. All I can find is Propel Zero." But what's fun, because that is Propel. Like, Propel changed the name to Propel Zero, I guess, to hop on the Zero bandwagon. I don't know what the fuck. Oh, actually, it's because they used to have 6 calories per bottle. Now it has 0, hence the title. And so I wrote her, I go, "That's fine. That's Propel. It's good." And she's like, "Well, what flavor do you want?" I said, "Whatever you get is fine. I don't." And she goes, "No, I'm going shopping. I want to make sure. I couldn't find all the black cherries you wanted. What else do you want?" And it's so funny. All of you are very kind to me when I come to your towns. And you're like, "Black cherry Propel," because I must have made an ass of myself over the years, really making it sound like I will do nothing but drink that stuff that I talk about. I mean, I'm not an animal. I mean, I will drink whatever you have. That's fine. I mean, do I prefer Propel? Yes, that's what I like to drink, and it's always nice when you guys get it. And I've branched out. So I told her, I was like, "Don't worry about it." And like that's the third time she said, "I want to know." I said, "Fine. I drink blueberry pomegranate. I drink berry, and I drink black cherry. I will not drink kiwi strawberry. I do not want to drink lemon. I will make do with grape. That's fine." And so she's like, "Great. That's all I wanted to know." Because that's it. That's truly all anybody wants to know. They just want guidance. They just want me to tell them what to get. So she had texted me. She'd written me notes about what kind of Propel and where I wanted to sleep and what I wanted to do, because she was fucking on it, man. She put more thought into this trip than I did. So I get out of the plane and I grab my stuff and I text her immediately and I'm like, "Hey, we're on the ground." And she's like, "That's fine. I'm on my way there." So I have to go to pick up luggage because I was selling shirts. So I had to check a bag. So I go down to the luggage check. I grab my bag. I go to walk out. And we had been staying in contact via text. And she was very, like I said, she was really type A. So she's like, "Where are you? What are you doing? Tell me right when you're in town. I must know." So I walk out of baggage claim out to the pickup area. And I just text the word "outside." And she texts back, "Me too." No shit. Really? You're outside too? Because it's really shocking. I thought you would be inside the airport in your car driving around looking for me. It just seemed like such a smart ass answer, but it wasn't. She just meant that she was also there and whatever the fuck. So I'm looking and then she's like, I'm trying to find her. She's like, "I'm in a red Prius." And I saw a red Prius, but it was behind like an SUV. So I started walking over to it and she texts me. She's like, "There's a guy in front of me. I can't get around him." And I look and I'm like, I can see you. I'm walking to your car now. It's okay. Don't worry about it. But then that guy pulled out and she pulled up immediately and I waved at her and she was very nice. And she got out and she had her kids in the car, her 2 daughters, which is weird. Like, I didn't know why that was happening, but that's fine. She gets out and she's like, "Oh my gosh, hi." And she gives me a hug and I put my stuff away. And the girls get out of the car and she goes, "They really wanted to meet you." I said, "Oh, all right." So, and I won't say her daughter's names, but they were, you know how you meet kids and you can tell right away they're good kids? And I'm not just saying that because Heidi let me stay at her house, but they were like gregarious and they wanted to talk and they wanted to talk about things. They weren't just like staring at a Nintendo and then hating me. You know what I mean? Like they wanted to talk about, like I started talking about musical instruments with them, and one of them wants to play, what did she want to play? It's like a flute, but it's not a flute. And a donut with no holes is a Danish. That's from Caddyshack, folks. No. All right. So I'm there, and Mitch Cumstein's there. Anyway, they get out and they want to meet. Oh, it's an ocarina. Is that what it's called? Ocarina? That's what it is, I think. It's like a big ass flute. So whatever. She's nice. And the other girl is like 9 or 7 or whatever. Talking about getting an iPad. I mean, like they were actually interesting kids. So I mean, I'm still a little weirded out that they're in the car, quite frankly, but that's fine. I can live with that. It's not, I don't get to call all the shots here. I get in the car with Heidi, and in the console, they have Cold Propel waiting for me, sitting there waiting to be drunk. And I'm like, that's so nice. And we drive, and then we drive. And she's like, all right, well, we got to drop the kids off first, and then we're going to go here and do this. And I said, okay, that's fine. And I looked at her, and, the kids are in the back, and then one of them has headphones on, and the other one's like buried in her iPad. And I said to Heidi, I go, so you said they wanted to meet me? And she's like, yeah, oh my gosh, they really wanted to meet you. And I go, why? Why? They don't. I said, you don't let them listen to the show, right? I mean, they don't listen to me on the. She goes, oh God, no. Oh no. She goes, sometimes I'll listen to some stuff and I'll filter it out for them, but no, they don't listen to your show. They've never heard your show. I'm like, good. That's all I care about, because I don't want fucking human services to pull us over and take them away. So we drive out of the airport, and she and I are talking. And then we're driving from the airport, and she and I are talking, and we're driving. And I mean, we go like 30 miles, and we're still driving. And I'm like, where do you live? And she's like, oh, well, we got to drop the kids off, but we live a little further away. And I'm like, I can't believe you made this drive. I would have rented a car. She's like, no, are you kidding me? She goes, this is nothing. I drive all the time in my car. And that's when she told me the anecdote about the 6 hours of podcasts. Jesus Christ. Because I will tell you this. One great thing about staying with Heidi and being in the car with her and doing anything with her, I didn't have to say a fucking word. Like, Heidi needs to have her own show, her own. I told her, you could have a podcast, because it's like all she does is talk. She's like me, but in real life. Like, she's a real person who talks and is interesting and fun, which she also has on me. I just talk. She's at least interesting and fun. I just fucking babble. So I'm in the car with her, and we're driving, and we continue to drive. And she's like, we got to drop the kids off. What do you want to do tonight? And I said, I really hadn't put much thought into it. She's like, well, we're going to sushi for sure. I know I'm taking you to a sushi place, and then I just want to know what you want to do afterwards. And of course, because I'm a smart ass, I just go, well, I don't know, what kind of strip clubs you got in this town? And she says, well, I looked into that, actually. There's 4 of them. And we can actually go to those if you want. We can go after we go to dinner. And and I went, whoa, hold on a second. I am not going to a strip club with you. Because her husband was working. Like, it would have just been me and her at the strip club. I'm like, that's fucking not happening. And she's like, no. She goes, it's not a problem. I already talked to him about it. I checked on them. She goes, I don't know if it's not like Vegas. She goes, we go to the ones in Vegas. We go to the Spearmint Rhino, and we go to Cheetahs. Chris and I do. And I'm just like, okay, great. I go, I'm not going to a strip club with you. I've met you for 4 minutes. Your kids are in the back seat. Let's not talk about this anymore. So we continue driving. She's like, I got to drop my kids off. I'm like, all right, that's fine. And she goes, we got to split them up. And I don't even know what that means. She just continues driving. And she pulls off the on-ramp, or the off-ramp, and she goes, and there's Walmart. And she starts to pull into Walmart. And I go, wait a minute, we're going to Walmart? And she goes, yeah, we're meeting some people here. I got to drop the kids off. And so she starts driving, and she goes around the back of Walmart. Like, we're not in the front anymore. She goes around the back, and she's like, yeah, I got to go to the back of Walmart and meet some people, and we're going to drop my daughter off. And now I start to wonder if I'm in the middle of some human trafficking ring, and I've been brought in as a fall guy. Like, these might not even be her kids. Like, maybe she's in like a kids selling ring, and they do it behind Walmart, and they go ahead and make the drop there. And they brought me along as a patsy just in case the cops come. Because let's be honest, if a fucking Indiana sheriff pulls up on a human trafficking ring, they're all going to point at me and go, hey, that fat guy's from Los Angeles, and they're going to shoot me in the face. So now I start to wonder if this whole thing is a fucking like long con by Heidi to get me to stay with her and be in the car so she can go ahead and traffic in humans and have to fucking pin the blame on me. So we go in the back, and we get there, and there's an elderly lady, and it turns out that it's her mom and her sister. And I forgot, I'm in the Midwest where everybody's friendly, and they do this sort of thing. They find a midway point, and they meet there. Instead of having to go to somebody's house, they're out and about, so then they say, let's meet at Walmart, and that's what they do. So luckily there was no human trafficking going on, as far as I know. Because then I get out of the car, and we're putting stuff from one trunk into the other trunk, and I meet the mom and I meet the sister, and they're very nice. And the sister has a little girl, and the little girl gets out, and the sister goes, "Show them." And the little girl goes like, "What?" And she goes, "Show them how big your butt's getting." And Heidi's like, "No, that's okay." And she goes, "No, show them. Stick it out. Show them your big butt." I'm telling you, I immediately stared into the sun for 5 minutes. That's it. I put a shoebox on my head and I turned backwards and stared at the fucking sun. Because I was not about to turn around when a 9-year-old is putting on an ass show in the parking lot at Walmart. That's not happening. I'm not taking the bait. Fuck Chris Hansen. Have him sit in his car, get your fucking stakeout van, and have it drive to another location. This motherfucker did not fly from California to get pinched for staring at a 9-year-old's ass. It's not happening. Nice try, Heidi family. I'm not going out like that. So she had her pose, and I didn't look. I stared. I think I may have been even whistling like tunelessly, just staring into the sky, waiting for this girl to put her ass away and get back in the car. So we loaded up her car, and they fucking got away. I got in the car, and I'm just like, Jesus. In my head, I didn't want to say anything like, "Hey, your niece was showing her ass to everybody." Whatever the fuck. It's not my business. I'm in the car with a Type A lady and her other daughter, because we only dropped one daughter off. So we're driving. She's got her nose in her. She's playing Zelda or something. I don't know what the fuck she's doing. But she's got her earbuds on. Who knows? I'm an old man. What are you playing, Zelda? I'm just trying to avoid talking to them, so I don't want to go to jail. So Heidi and then it says, "Hey, what do you want for breakfast tomorrow?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't eat the day of the show." She goes, "No, it's okay. I've got eggs, I've got cereal, I've got milk, whatever you need at the house for breakfast." And I go, Heidi, really, I don't eat the day of the show. I'm good." She goes, "Are you sure?" "Oh yeah, I just don't. Why?" And she's like, "Well," she goes, "I was going to make French toast casserole."
What?
I said, "What is that?" She goes, "It's this dish that I make. It's amazing, and it's called French toast casserole. If I make it, will you have some?" I said, "Well, I don't eat the day of the show, really. I don't." And she goes, "Well, it's not a big deal. It's just bread. It's like French toast, but it's made like a casserole, and it'll keep." She goes, "We've got a lot of people coming over next week because we're going out. There's a big gathering next weekend, and they're staying at my house, so it'll keep till Wednesday for them. But if I make it tomorrow, will you try it?" I'm like, I don't know. I don't eat the day of the show. I really don't. I don't eat on Fridays. It's just I might have a banana, but that's about it. She's like, "All right. Well, I'm making this French toast casserole." I go, she goes, "If you want it, I'll make it." I go, "Fine. We're fine. I don't eat." So we drive another 65 miles. I mean, Jesus Christ. I can't explain to you how long we were on the freeway. I didn't think we were in Indianapolis anymore. It might not have even been in Indiana. Might have been in fucking Kentucky. I have no idea. But we're driving, and we had to go to a buffet restaurant, to drop the other daughter off with Heidi's mother-in-law. And we get there, and I meet the mother-in-law. She's really nice. And we leave, and then Heidi tells me a story about her and her mother-in-law that's better than anything I've told you so far in this show. And I can't share it with you. But I have to tell you, if you want to write Heidi, you can find her on Facebook and see if she'll tell you. But she told me this story, and I'm looking at her, and I go, "That story's better than any story I've ever had." And she's like, No, it's not, and it's just a thing, and I can't go into it. And she goes, "I never told anybody," and I did, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, are you confiding in me this weird story? I've known you for 5 minutes." But no, it turns out that she's told some people. Whatever the fuck, who cares? The bottom line is she has a great story that I can't share. But I thought I'd tell it to you because why not? Because now, as you're sitting to listen to me talking to fucking space, you're like, "God damn, I wish Heidi would show up and tell a great story." So we get to the house, and finally, I mean, she's out in the middle of, and she lives in this amazing suburb, this huge house. We pull in, and Heidi, by the way, awful driver, like the worst driver ever. She's as bad as Karen. She does the same thing that Karen does. We'll get on the freeway. You'll merge in the freeway, and then they will stay in the slowest lane, like the far right lane. Well, you're merge onto the freeway. Continue merging, please. Get over like 2 or 3 more lanes. And Heidi's content to drive behind trucks. Who's content to drive behind trucks? Jesus Christ, move into a different lane. You've got a gas pedal, use it. A turn signal, turn it on. But she's happy to do that. And she was driving, and she almost killed us at one point, swerving. Jesus, awful driver. And here's how awful a driver she is. When we pull into her garage, you know how they have that tennis ball that like hangs there and it tells you where to stop your car? She has an actual sign that says, "Stop here!" like with exclamation points. I was like, wow, how many times have you driven into the fucking living room? And the sign was broken. Like, and she's like, "Oh yeah, they broke that the other day." And I'm like, "Sure, they did. They did, not you driving." So we go into the house, and she's like, "All right, you're in the guest room. It's upstairs, and it's a huge house, and there's a nice dog, which it was a big dog, and I don't like dog spit, you know that, but this dog was extremely well behaved. Like she told it to do things, and it did it. Like it knew what to do. It practically knew English. I think this dog knew English. Like, you know how I told you falcons know English? So do dogs. This dog knew English because she would tell it what to do and it would stop. And then Heidi would go get a treat and say, "Go to your cage," and she'd get in the cage and sit down and they'd give her the treat. It was amazing. Like dogs shouldn't behave that way. They should just be dogs rampaging like that fucking goat. He was awesome. So she goes, "Your room's upstairs." I go upstairs. There's a fucking huge TV room. I go through and she's like, "You're in this guest room here," and and I walk into this room. And she opens the door, and there's a bed, okay? And on the bed, there's a bedspread with parrots, coconuts, and like Hawaiian lays and a bunch of that shit. And the room is decorated in this weird Hawaiian motif, like this tropical. There's lays, and then there's grass skirts that cover there's no closet doors. There's grass skirts that cover them. But the room itself is dominated by one particular item, a full-size tanning bed. There's a functioning, it works. There's a tanning bed right there, a giant tanning bed in the room, in the guest room. I go into the bathroom, there's like shells and fucking like all this stuff. And there's a framed photo on the wall of some old man. I can't figure out who it is. But I start to get the vibe and I realize exactly what it is because I go into the bathroom and there's like, this is the Jimmy Buffett room. She's she's not just a parrot head, like she worships him, and everybody who's coming over the next week, she is for cheeseburger or whatever the fuck French toast casserole that's going to keep. They're all seeing Jimmy Buffett in a week at some open air theater, and they all come to her house and they stay there. And because she starts talking to me, and she's like, "Yeah, this is the Buffett room," and I'm like, "What?" And I realized, I start to put it all together, and I felt like Kaiser Soze, where you see there's like a parrot on the wall, and you're like parrot head, and then oh my god, and a tan, and then the flip flop, and then I blew out a flip flop because I stepped on a pop top. It was fucking horrible. And then there's a framed picture on the wall, and I'm like, "Who's that?" And she explained it. I wish I knew it now. Okay, I don't know it, but it's somebody from a song, from a Buffett song, and he talks about having a framed photo on the wall of that person, like it's like a cowboy from the 20s. And she went and framed a photo of him and put him on the wall in the Buffett room. That's how serious she is about the Buffettness. So I'm like, I can't survive in this room. Because I am not folks, look, I like a lot of music and I hate a lot of music, and Jimmy Buffett is on one of those lists. I don't get it. It's not for me. But I have to sleep under the watchful eye of a cheeseburger in paradise. Good for me. Just for 2 days, I am the son of a son of a son of a sailor, or at least I'm sleeping in his room. Yes, I know that's one too many sons. It was a joke. I don't need any parrot heads, angry parrot heads writing me. It's only son of a sailor, you son of a bitch. So then as I'm taking in the sights and wondering if the tanning bed works, because I'm going to tan. I know I'm going to tan if I'm there. And she's like, "You can if you want." And I actually in the middle of the night, I opened it up and I looked at it. I'm figuring out the button. And I'm just like, dude, don't do this. Because you know you're going to fuck it up and you're going to break it and some shit's going to happen. I don't want to, they're nice enough to have me in their fucking house. The last thing I'm going to do is fucking break. Because look, if I break a shower rod or I tear a towel, I don't know why I'd tear a towel. What kind of a fucking maniac am I? Or if I knock down a shower curtain, whatever the fuck, any weirdness, I can, you can roll with that. If I break a tanning bed, fuck that. That's not getting fixed. So I'm like, don't even go near it. I put my stuff on it, and I looked at it, I figured out the buttons, and I'm like, nah, don't fuck with this. But as I'm unpacking my stuff, and she's like, "All right, we're going to go for sushi. We're going to do that. Just get unpacked." But here. And then Heidi immediately starts with the gifts. She gives me a bag, and she said, "This is for Karen and Lily." And she gave me a bunch of like lotions for Karen. Like, you know how I like going to a hotel, because I'm not going to a hotel this time. I'm not going to have anything to bring to Karen. Well, Heidi made sure to go to hotels and get all of their stuff. She had to give me 30 lotions, hand lotions, soaps, conditioners, all of this different stuff for Karen. And she's like, "Oh, again, bring that and take that to her." And I got this for Lily, and she pulls it out, and it says on the jar, "Sweet pussy." That's all it says. It's oil. I think it's the oil like that stuff you put on light bulbs when you're sitting around and getting high or watching Jimmy Buffett. I don't know what's the difference, but it's that oil you pour on light bulbs and it makes the whole room smell like sweet pussy, I'm assuming. But she was so excited because Heidi, you should have seen her face because she just goes, I got this for Lily. And she pulled it out like a little kid being naughty. And she's like, look at the name. And I read it and I'm like, she's like, oh, you think she'll like it? I go, yeah, she's going to like it. And then she goes, and by the way, I know you had trouble finding notebooks. She gives me a giant notebook, like a college, like 3-pack, like it's 1,000 pages in it. And then another smaller one. She goes, I don't know what size you use. She gave me 2 different notebooks. And I'm like, you are type A lady. You are out of control. These are way too many gifts. And she's like, no, I really wanted to do it. It's so nice. I hope you bring it home. I'm like, yeah, I will. Thank you. And I go check out the shower. I look in there and she's like, all right, well, we're going to go have sushi whenever you're ready. And so I unpack my stuff and I get ready to leave. We go downstairs. We roll to the sushi house. And we had to go down to Broad Ripple to this place called Naked Chopsticks. And when she wrote it to me, it was Naked Chopsticks and there was a T. Chopsticks started with a T, like TCH, like Tchaikovsky. And I just thought it was a typo. Nope, we got there. It was Chopsticks with a T. Like that was the name. It's weird. I don't know. So she's like, oh my God, you're going to love this sushi. So we go in and we grab the table. And as we're sitting there talking, we're talking about, she's like, what do you want to do after this? And I go, she goes, you talked about that strip club. And I go, look, we don't have to go to a strip club. Because now it's funny. I've now gone from, well, I'm not going to a strip club with you to, we don't have to go to a strip club. Because she brought it up this time. So maybe I'm thinking, well, maybe that's what she likes to do. Maybe that's her thing. When someone comes in from out of town, she likes to show them the fabulous strip clubs in the area. So she's like, well, I don't know. We'll figure something out. I go, that's fine. And we wait for sushi. And this sushi place, like I said, Naked Chopsticks, it was really nice. And the servers were totally cute. There were actual sushi chefs. And there were hot girl servers and there was a hot hostess. And then there was this little girl who looked like Indiana in pants. Like if you were to tell me take a picture of Indiana, I would take a picture of this girl. She had a little bob haircut and she had, she's kind of a little, she was probably like 5'4" and she weighed about 130 pounds. She was a little thick in the waist and a little in the backyard, but it didn't matter. She was super cute and her face was and freckles and a dimple and a great smile, great teeth, just fucking corn-fed dame. Goddamn, she was cute. So we're looking at all the cute servers and we're sitting there talking and some host brought us our menus and we're sitting there reading them and Heidi's like, man, I'm thirsty. I got to get something to drink and I'm starving. I haven't eaten all day. And I'm like, yeah, me neither. I said, I had barbecue in Texas, whatever the fuck. And we've got all these hot servers around us. And then from the back of the restaurant, this thing emerged. And I'm not exaggerating. I mean, she emerged from the back of the restaurant. She didn't come out. She didn't glide. She didn't walk out. She burst out of the back door and just came at us. Like, it was like as if the staircase in the Munsters had opened up and Spot had finally walked out and you saw what he looked like. That's what this woman looked like. She comes walking out of the back. And not even walking. She didn't walk. She fucking shambled. She shambled out of the back. I thought we were under zombie attack. I quite frankly, for just a second, I thought it was a zombie attack because she shambled out and her arms, like I can't do it. Her arms were like a kimbo and her shoulder was up and her shoulder was down. She was built like, you know what she looked like? She looked like a hypotenuse. You know what that is? Like the fucking... Holy God. She had a lump in her back and she was all fucking twisted up and she had glasses and a crazy nose, like a Broomhilda nose and weird hair. And right when I saw her, I'm like, she looks like somebody, but I don't know who. I can't place it just yet. But it didn't matter because she was shambling right toward us. And I'm like, well, I'm going to get to fucking figure it out because she comes walking. And almost like she made it, as she walked, there was that noise. You ever watch Land of the Lost when the Slee Stack would walk and it'd be like that? She had that noise. That noise was happening as she walked involuntarily throughout the restaurant. There was a Slee Stack noise. People watched her shamble by. People instinctively covered their food and their belongings, thinking that she was there to steal them and take them back under the bridge from whence she came. Holy fuck, was she creepy. Just come shambling out, and she walks up to us, and she's all bent and gnarled, and she's twisted. And she just emerged from a car accident ready to take our sushi order. Holy fuck. So Heidi looks at me and I look at Heidi and we see her shambling toward us. And I think even Heidi under her breath just went, oh no. Like she was horrified. So she gets close to the table and I see her hair and her glasses and I see her huge fucking nose. And she's like, hi, can I help you? And just this voice from the bottom of a swamp. I mean, just this, oh Christ, it was horrible. I think there was seaweed hanging out of her hair. Just creepy. And Heidi and I are like, well, we got to figure out. I ordered our drinks, and we said we're still trying to figure out what we're going to eat. And she goes, okay. And she was just all angles, and there was this weird, like I said, Sleestak hum, and she turned around and she shambled away, and there was quiet at our table, and then Heidi looked up at me and she goes, "There's something off about her." And I said, "You think?" And she goes, "She didn't. She was missing." And I said, "A neck?" And Heidi goes, "Yeah, a neck." I said, "That was horrible." And she goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe that. I can't believe she can even walk upright." And I go, "You know what? You know what she looked like?" Because as she got closer, I knew immediately what she looked like. And I looked at Heidi and I go, "You know what she looked like?" She goes, "What?" And I go, "She looked like a blue meanie." And Heidi goes, "I don't know what that is." And I go, "You don't know the Blue Meanies from Yellow Submarine with the Beatles?" She goes, "No." And I go, "Oh my God." And I grabbed my phone and I looked it up and I Googled Blue Meanies. And the image came up and I clicked on it with my thumb. Before I even showed it to Heidi, I looked at the bigger image. And I have to tell you something, folks. I've written on television shows. I've actually performed stand-up comedy on television. I've done this show. I've met you people live and had you tell me things to me about how I've influenced you or I've helped you, how you admire me. All of those things are great monuments in my life. But I have never in my life been more proud of myself than I have when I saw the picture of the Blue Meanie on the phone and I realized she looked exactly like one of the Blue Meanies. And to the point where I had it on my phone and I turned my phone around to Heidi and Heidi went, "Oh!" Like she jumped and she went, "Oh my God, you're so right." And she looked at it again, and then we saw it come out of the corner of her eye. We heard the Sleestak noise, like, and we saw her come around the corner, and Heidi goes, "Turn it off, take it off your phone, get it off your phone." And I go, "What?" And she goes, "Oh my God, you got to get it off your phone because if she sees it, she's going to know we were talking about her." Which validated my claim even more because that would indicate that this woman knows that she looks like one of the Blue Meanies. There's nobody in the world that's self-aware. Nobody in the world is that self-aware. They go, "Holy shit, I like one of the Blue Meanies from the Yellow Submarine cartoon." Nobody knows that about themselves. But she was so fucking horrifying. Just like this lump on her back, and she's like, "My name's Krista." She even had the fucking mouth, like the Sleestak mouth. "Krista, can I help you?" Oh my God, the speech impediment too. Really? You couldn't give her a lovely singing voice? Susan Boyle at least got a lovely singing voice, and she's a troll. You couldn't help poor Krista out and give her a singing voice? Jesus? What's wrong with you? Then you give her a job at the Public? What's wrong with you, Jesus? God damn it, she's shambling around the restaurant, and everybody's looking at her. Everybody is seeing her, and we got her as our server, and she was a good server. I guess she brought us our food and didn't drool on it. I guess that was enough. That's all you can ask out of her, as she's shambling around like half a fucking zombie. Jesus, when she's not horrifying sushi eaters in Indianapolis, she's ringing a bell in South Bend. God damn it, was she creepy. And Heidi and I are trying to avert our eyes and we're ordering, and then she disappeared, and then oh my God, she disappeared for the longest time, and then we get like a normal server and we practically cling to her leg. "Please help us, please stay with us, please." So we ordered the food and Krista went to get it. And I should tell you this, I ordered, because I looked at Heidi and I said, I go, "What have you not eaten here?" She goes, "Well, I've had pretty much anything." I go, "Rolls?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "Do you eat sushi?" She goes, "No, not really." I go, "What sushi have you never eaten?" And she goes, "Well, I don't want to eat like octopus or anything." I go, "We're getting octopus." She goes, "Why?" And I go, "I'm going to make you put something in your mouth that you've never had before." And then I realized what I'd said, and I was happy that I said it in the sushi restaurant and I didn't say it in the parking lot at fucking Walmart. Because fat Indiana sheriff shows up and puts a bullet in my fucking head if I say that sentence at Walmart. But she's like, "What do you mean?" And I go, "I want you to eat something you've never had." And Heidi's like, "All right, yes, I'll do it." So I ordered squid. Because I like squid sushi, like raw squid, Ika, it's called. And so I ordered an order of Ika, and then we ordered our rolls. And then I found another roll that's, because Heidi told me what to get, so I ordered all the rolls that she suggested. And then I found one that she didn't know. I think it was called a rocket roll. And I read it, and I saw it was on it. I go, "I'm getting it immediately." So they bring the food. They bring the sushi first, the squid. And I go, "All right, you ready?" She goes, "Yeah." And I go, "You can put soy sauce on it if you want." She goes, "All right." And I go, 1, 2, 3, in. And we ate it, and she took a bite, which is weird because I told her it was all texture, and it's like eating a tire. I mean, squid has the consistency of eating a rubber shred from a tire. But I love it. I love texture. But I put it in my mouth, and the thing is, look, I'm a sushi snob, all right? And I eat at Katsuya, which is like the greatest sushi restaurant in the world as far as I'm concerned, unless I can go see Jiro in fucking Japan. But I eat the squid, and when you eat sushi at inferior sushi restaurants, like you can eat rolls at those places because it's all tarted up with mayonnaise and bullshit. But when you eat sushi, there's no hiding the quality of the fish. So I put this squid in my mouth and I started to chew it, and it was sticky. Like it was like gummy on the other, like gummy to the point where it stuck to the roof of my mouth and stuck to my tongue. I'm trying to chew it and it's sticking, and I had to actually reach in with a chopstick and pry it off the top of my mouth because it was so gummy. And it had this bitter taste to it. It shouldn't have. It should taste clean like the fucking ocean, but it was bitter and gummy. And I'm chewing it. You know what it was like? It was like if you mailed yourself a fish, and then you ate the stamp. So fucking horrible, sticky and nasty. And I'm eating it. I'm just like, oh. And I told her, I go, I'm sorry I made you eat that. And she's like, well, I didn't. It wasn't bad. I go, no, it was horrible. Trust me, it was fucking horrible. And all of a sudden we heard the sleek stack noise, and she comes around the corner. And I'm just like horrified. I'm just trying to avert my eyes, and she brings all of our sushi, all of our rolls. So we sit down and we're eating the rolls. And the rocket roll is it's a regular roll, but it's got all this pink stuff on top of it. Like that's the whole point. Is there? It looks like Masago, which, as you know, is like fish eggs. It's orange, but this is pink. It looks like Masago. So she goes, "What is this, Heidi?" And I said, "Just eat it," because I'm a great guy. And she's like, well, no, what is it? And I go, it's okay. Just, you eat a piece and I'll eat a piece at the same time. And she's like, all right. So she picks up the piece of sushi, and as she goes to put it in her mouth, the pink stuff falls off. And I go, no, that's the part you got to eat. You got to eat that part. And she's like, all right, okay. And I go, no, it's got to go in right now, like right now with your piece of sushi. And she's like, okay. And she picks it up with her chopsticks, and then I put mine in and we start eating it. And she looks at me, and she starts chewing, and her eyes get really big, and she just goes, Pop Rocks. And I said, yep, Pop Rocks. The fucking rocket roll is like shrimp and crab. Or I don't even give a fuck what was underneath. I don't care what they wrapped in it, okay? But on top, the pink stuff was Pop Rocks, the candy. On top of the sushi. So we're eating it, and she looks at me, she goes, that's the greatest thing in the world. Like, yes, it's the genius idea. I want to hug this guy. We're eating it, and it was fucking amazing. Like, I wanted to order another roll. We were full. I was like, I could order more Pop Rocks. It was so good. I didn't. But we ate one, and we ate the whole fucking thing. And it's just amazing. You're eating sushi with actual Pop Rocks in your mouth that are popping. They're popping while you're chewing them, as well as eating the sushi. And it had like a sweet flavor. It added like a sweet flavor to it. God damn it. It was so good. It was genius. It was genius. Why don't they put Pop Rocks on more food? I want a steak rolled in fucking Pop Rocks. You know what they should bread? I want. You know how they bread the like Captain Crunch chicken? Just make Pop Rocks chicken. Just fucking bread it in Pop Rocks and fry it. Oh, don't fry it though. It'll pop. The pop will go away. Just make it a garnish. Sprinkle it on everything. Put it in a soup. God damn it! I love Pop Rocks on food now. It's a great idea. It's a genius idea. It was great. We were eating it. We fucking went nuts. So we finished, and I'll tell you what, we ate like 6 sushi rolls. Jesus Christ, we were monsters. We just went right through it. And she's like, I only eat like 2 when I'm here, or maybe even 1. And I'm like, yeah, well, guess what? Things are changing. So as we're eating, and I'm eating that, and eating the Pop Rocks, we're making conversation, we're talking. She looks at me and she goes, so what do you want for breakfast tomorrow? And I'm like, oh my God, nothing. I don't eat. She goes, but if I make that French toast casserole, I go, yes, make it. Oh my God, please make it. Leave me alone. Don't ever bring up French toast or casserole, because it sounds delicious, but I can't eat. I don't eat the day of a show. Why are you trying to corrupt me? But make it. Fine, make it. I'll try some. She goes, really, you're going to like it? I go, fine, make it. Goddamn type A, back off. So we leave, and I'm like, well, where's that strip club? And she's like, really? And I'm like, no. She goes, well, what do you want to do? We can go to my friend's bar, or my other friend's bar, or my other friend's bar, or we can go to where Chris is working, to the comedy club. Do you want to go in there and hang out? And I'll be honest with you, folks. I'm a stand-up comedian. I have been for like 20 years, but I haven't been for 3 years. Does that make any sense? I don't go to clubs. I don't ever hang out, because I'm not doing sets, and it freaks me out to go sit in and do it. But there was something different about being on this trip, because I knew I was in town to do a show, an actual show that people were coming to see me. So I didn't have that weird inferiority bullshit that I put myself through. So I was like, in my head, I wanted to go to the comedy club. Like, I wanted to sit in the back and watch the show a little bit and hang out, like it like the old days. Like, I really wanted to go and do that. So I said to her, I actually kind of want to go to the comedy club. She goes, great, it's right next door. So we walked out of the fucking, it literally is 8 steps away. We walk in, I meet her husband, the feature's on, the middle guy's on. So I was going to go in and watch him, but instead we wound up talking to Chris. And then the middle guy finished his set. And Chris was very nice, but again, he doesn't know me at all. I guess I met him when he was out here for Never Not Funny, but I don't know if he listens to the show. He doesn't know if I'm funny or if I'm a guy. Who fucking knows? But he was nice, so I shook his hand. And then we went into the showroom. Heidi and I went in the back. We met this guy, Dave, who was there working the front door, and then we met some servers, and She's like, you want to watch the show? And the comedian was a guy named Jim Short from Australia. And Jim went up and he was killing. He was doing great. Room was about half full. It was a Thursday night. It was just that same vibe I've seen a million times in my life. Thursday night, room's only half full, but people are laughing. The comic's doing very well, sitting in the back. The servers are kind of hanging out. And it was just great. I loved it. I really loved it. So we hung out for about 15, 20 minutes. And we watched some of Jim. And then I looked at Heidi and I was like, we can take off if you want. And she's like, oh, you sure? She goes, well, hold on. I got to go talk to Chris. So she went and talked to her husband. I watched more of Jim. And then she came to get me. She's like, let's go. So we walked out, said goodbye to some people. And I didn't see Chris when I walked out. He was in the back in the office. So we talked to this guy, Dave. We split. We went out to the car. She goes, well, I told Chris that you wanted to go to strip clubs. And he was worried that... I go, whoa, hold on a second. You told your husband that I want to take you to strip clubs. Your husband who I've known for 2 minutes. She's like, no, he's cool. It doesn't matter. He knows comics come to town and we hang out all the time. And I go, at strip clubs? She goes, well, I just told him that's kind of your thing. And I go, no, it's not my thing. Don't, you can't tell your husband whose house I'm staying in for 2 days that I want to take his wife to strip clubs without him. That's fucking ridiculous. He's going to beat the shit out of me. And she's just like, no, it's not like that. She goes, believe me. She goes, I've been married 18 years. We've got kids. We got a house. He and I both know neither of us are going anywhere. And I go, well, fine. All right. Yeah. But I'm weird about going. She's like, well, that's okay. Cause he said they're in bad neighborhoods and we would get shot. I'm like, really? She goes, yeah. She said that they're not in very good areas and he'd be worried that I might get shot. So he really kind of recommended we didn't go. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. Cause honestly, I'm not going anyway. So she goes, we can go to my friend's bar. I said, great. So we ride to her friend's bar. And here's the thing. This is the worst. She doesn't want to go to strip clubs because she doesn't want to get shot. And then we drive to her friend's bar down this road called College Road. And I don't think I've been on a more dangerous street since I was in Vegas 3 years ago, driving on their MLK Boulevard late at night looking for an adult bookstore. I mean, seriously, this street, everything was boarded up. On my side, every house, every store, every business was boarded up. And we're driving and it's dark. And then there's that thing where there's 9 guys just standing on the corner under a street light, and you keep driving and I'm like, man, we're gonna get fucking killed. Where is this bar? And she's like, well, I didn't want to come this way, but it's kind of the way. We could have gone another street, but it's fine. And then I kept telling her, I go, here's a boarded up building, here's a boarded up house. And she's like, you're scaring me, stop scaring me. And then there was a boarded up house, but people were in it. It was all boarded up except and there was no front door, but there were people in the house milling around. And I'm like, dude, and so we're driving and everything's buttoned up and boarded up. And then we come to a fucking building. And it's dark. It's completely dark. The whole building there's just a series of awnings. And there's just, in the window, there's just a neon sign that says open. I said, pull over. She goes, what? I go, we're going to that open place. She's like, what? I go, pull over. We'll go to the open place. And she goes, what is it? I go, I don't know, but they're open. Let's go in there. She goes, you were just telling me everything's boarded up and there's all these people hanging around. I go, I know exactly. I go, you can stay in. Just stay in the car. I'll get out. I'll just go in and I'll poke my head in and see what they're doing. She goes, no, I'm not stopping. And I go, it's okay. I go, just pull up in front. It's open. It's a business. Obviously, it's a business. It wouldn't have a sign that said it was open. She's like, I'm not stopping. And so I pouted the rest of the car ride. We just kept driving. Finally, we get into a safe neighborhood. I go, I can't believe you wouldn't go to the open place. She goes, what is it? I go, I don't know. I'm not from here. This is your town. She's like, well, I don't know what it is. I'm not stopping. I go, it's open. And it was because it was fucking 11. I wanted to go. Come on, that's a great story, right? You just pop your head into an open joint. What's in there? Well, who knows? Everything else is boarded up, but there's one business that's open. You know who it is? It's the guy selling the boards. Let's get in there. Let's buy some fucking boards. That guy's selling hammers, nails, and boards. Let's pop in and grab some. So we drive. We go to her friend's bar called the Brass Ring. And we hung out there. It was a nice bar. It had these up and down. It had a patio, and out front, instead of windows, it had garage doors, clear glass garage doors that you opened up for bay window effect, and then it was awesome. It was a nice place. Had a couple of drinks. We split. She texted her husband, and he's like, why don't you meet me at this bar for karaoke? And she's like, all right. And then she went to a different bar, and we wound up going to a different bar, and he said, well, now I'm over at this bar. So we went and met him there. And now it's 1 a.m. And we walk into this bar, and everybody's smoking in this fucking bar. It was awful. Jesus, it was terrible because we were in some different county where you can smoke in this place near Indiana. So we sit with her husband, and they have a couple beers. And I had told her when we were driving in from the airport, I should tell you this, we're driving, and I saw a sign for White Castle. And she's like, what do you want for breakfast? What do you want to do while you're in town? I go, look, all I want to do while I'm in town, I want to have White Castle. At one point, we're hitting White Castle. She goes, great. So we had the sushi. We drove around past the open place. We're at the bar. And they had food at the bar. And I was actually so bored and hungry. I'm like, you know what? I might just order some food. And she didn't really want to do that. Because I said, you can eat anything? She said, no. So we split. We went to meet Chris, like I said. And in my head, I'm like, well, we're just going to go to White Castle tonight anyway. We go to leave the bar. She hits the bathroom. And I said to Chris, I'm like, yeah, I said, I'm excited. We're going to White Castle at some point. He's like, oh, yeah. I explained we didn't have them in California. We leave, we get in the car, we drive, and we wind up at their house. We just pull into the driveway. And I don't say anything. I didn't say, hey, let's go to White Castle, because she had a couple of beers, and I didn't want to be that guy. Hey, let's go chasing burgers. I didn't want to be that guy. It's bad enough I'm staying at their fucking house. So we pull in, and we get inside. But I'm starving, man. We had sushi at like 8, and now it's 2. And I'm used to being up all night. So we go in, and sushi's gone in like an hour anyway in your stomach. It's like you might as well eat 5 minutes later. So we get into the house, and Chris turns on the TV because they're late night people too. So they're hanging out. And Heidi's like, hey, can you get anything? Do you want anything? And I said, you know what? Actually, I'm hungry. She's like, oh my God, what do you want? She goes, we got a bunch of stuff, and we got this, and Chris comes in the kitchen. He goes, man, we got ham, we got beef, we got turkey, we got sprouts, tomatoes, sandwiches, and he puts it all out on the counter. And she goes, what do you want? And I go, don't worry, it's fine, I'm fine, it's no big deal. And she's like, well, no, what do you want? Just tell me. I'm whatever you need is great. I'm ready to get it. I can get something in there, something in the freezer. If you want me to cook something, I go, no, it's okay. I go, I'm fine. I don't want it. And look, I'm being a baby at this point, all right? Because I should have just shut the fuck up and gone to bed. But I'm sad because we didn't get to go to White Castle. So I'm kind of like passive-aggressively being like that guy who's like, nah, it's okay, I'm fine. And they're like, what? No, please. And I fucking milked it like an idiot. And then she's like, what do you want? And Chris is like, we got sandwiches. And she goes, oh, what do you know what? We've got a 7-layer salad. And I go, I don't want a fucking 7-layer salad at 3 a.m. Are you kidding? She goes, no, it's so good. And she goes out to the fucking freezer or whatever in the garage, and she pulls it in, and she opens up a bowl. And she goes, see? And she might think it was 7-layer salad. To me, it looked like vomit lost a fight. I mean, it looked like vomit had decided to fight Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd Mayweather knocked it out and beat it senseless and left it laying in the middle of the ring. I mean, it just looked like this salad or whatever the fuck it was. And seriously, it looked like a bowl of vomit had gone around with Junior Dos Santos, and he knocked him the fuck out in the octagon. It was a bowl of death. It was so horrible looking. And she opened it, and I just went, oh my God, that looks horrible. She goes, no, I just got to mix it up. It tastes really good. I go, no, look at it. It had like seeping rainwater, but it wasn't. It was like broth, salad broth. I don't want any salad broth. I don't want a 7-layer salad. I don't want any of that. It's fucking horrible. And she's like, well, what do you want? What do you want to eat? And I go, you know what I want? I want White Castle. And she goes, let's go. I go, no, it's okay. We should have gone while we were out. I should have said something, but it's no big deal. I shouldn't even bring it up. She goes, no, it's fine. Let's go get White Castle. And I go, no, it's 3 a.m. You had a couple of beers. We're home. It's fine. I don't need to eat this late. It's fine. And she's like, well, no, you really want White Castle? And I did. I go, and she goes, well, I thought we were going tomorrow. I go, I can't go tomorrow. I said, I'm doing the show, and then we're going to go to White Castle, and I'm going to get on a plane afterwards. I can't have White Castle and get on a plane. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I go, don't worry about it. I go, but in reality, if I don't bring it up, she doesn't feel bad about it. But I brought it up to be a fucking idiot because I'm an idiot. And I go, I'm just going to go to bed. And another reason I went to bed is because then Chris started watching Louie, and I haven't watched any of the new Louies like from this season. And he starts watching it. And I go, I can't be down here while they're watching Louie. I got to go to bed. So I go, I'm fine. She goes, you're sure? I go, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. I got to go online and do some stuff, and I'm going to sleep. I said, I haven't slept. I've been on a plane all day. So I go upstairs. I go in my room. I said, there's a pop top. I avoided it this time. And I clear the bed off. I sit down. I start doing stuff, and I hear rustling. Like I hear like a noise, like they're moving furniture, like a weird. I can't figure out what it is. But I'm in bed, and I'm doing the stuff online. I got the Wi-Fi password. I'm taking care of business. And about 40 minutes later, I hear the noise again, and it dawns on me, it's the garage door opening. And then it closes. And I'm doing my stuff online. And about 15 minutes later, there's a knock on the door, the guest room door. And I'm like, yeah? And she goes, room service. And I throw some pants on, and I open the door, and it's Heidi. And she has a plate with sliders on it. And she's got ketchup and mustard in each hand. She's holding a bottle of ketchup and a bottle of mustard and a plate with like 5 sliders on it. And I looked at her and I go, what did you do? She goes, White Castle was closed. I said, so? And she goes, so I went to the store and I bought the frozen ones for you and I brought them here and I cooked them.
Oh my God.
And I brought them for you because I know you really wanted them. I couldn't believe it. In the middle of the night, she leaves her house. And again, I kind of guilted her into it, let's be honest. But still, she leaves her house for a guy she's known 5 minutes. She goes to a White Castle that's closed, then goes to a grocery store, buys frozen sliders, comes home, cooks them, puts them on a plate, grabs condiments, and doesn't come get me and say, come downstairs. Comes to my bedroom where I am and brings me sliders with mustard and ketchup. How fucking nice is that? How amazing is that? And she's sitting there with the plate of sliders and the ketchup and the mustard, and I look at her, and I said, I can't eat those. And she says, what? And I said, I can't eat those. I said, I can get frozen ones in California. I wanted them from actual White Castle. And she's puzzled, like looking at me. And I said, seriously, I'm just going to go to sleep. And I can't bring them in the room because the room will smell like White Castle all day. I'm fine.
Oh my God.
And she's standing there holding condiments and sliders and looking at me. And she's just like, are you serious? And I go, I can't eat those. I'm sorry. I'm fine. Thank you so much for doing that. Good night. And I close the door right in her face. She's standing there holding sliders and ketchup. Blunk. Lock the door.
Oh my God.
And I go back on the bed. Because I wasn't trying to be mean. But then when I thought about it later, that's why I'm laughing. It's 'cause it's so fucking ignorant, so rude. Why would you do that ever in a million years? She left her home in the middle at 3 a.m. Like a Sherpa, she went searching for a White Castle, found one and it was closed, and instead of saying, well, whatever, I fucking tried, she went to a goddamn grocery store and bought frozen ones and made them. Brought them up to you, didn't even make you walk down 9 stairs. I can't eat those. What an asshat.
Oh my God.
So and then I went to bed. Just went to sleep. And I'm sure she went. I half expected in the morning to open the door and just see her still standing there holding the sliders, the ketchup and the mustard, just staring like quizzically. Really? You closed the door in my fucking face? Because she's type A. I'm sure she didn't kick in the fucking door, pin me down, and shove sliders down my throat. Yeah. So I went to sleep. And I woke up the next day. And I felt, because usually I just sit in my room, man, and I just I get ready for the show by myself. But I didn't want to be like this antisocial asshole. And also, I'm getting a little more used to the show. You know, I have to put together, what I did over the couple of days. I have to do that. Whatever the fuck, you don't care. Well, yeah, you do care. Everybody cares. So I wind up in my head. I'm like, I can't just sit in the room. I mean, I have to go at least see if they're there, and spend time. So I open my door. I get dressed. I open the door, and I am hit in the face with just a fucking cinnamon vanilla karate chop, like right in the face. Like, it was just amazing. It was literally like I walked into a Cinnabon. Like there was a door on a Cinnabon, and I just walked into it. Not a store, an actual Cinnabon. So I walked downstairs. And she was very nice. She's like, hi, what's going on? She's on her computer watching TV at the same time. And she's like, I made French toast casserole. Do you want it? And all right, I got to tell you this. I had talked to Chris, and he said to me, he goes, hey, whatever you want for breakfast is in the house. And I go, well, I said, Heidi said she's making some French toast casserole. He goes, oh, really? And I go, yeah, she says that it's big enough it'll keep and other people will eat it next week. He goes, oh, it's good. I like it. He goes, I hope she cooks it enough, though. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, sometimes she's in a hurry to get it out of the oven, and so she takes it out, and it's soft. Like, it should be different. She makes it right sometimes, but sometimes she's in a hurry. And it's funny because that's also Karen. Heidi drives like Karen, and she cooks like Karen, because Karen will cook potatoes. And I said this to Chris. I go, Karen will cook a great dinner, but because she wants it to be done fast, she'll take everything out 15 minutes early. So then the potatoes are hard, and the broccoli's like still kind of raw, and it looks delicious. Everything looks great, except it's all just fucking undercooked. Because she's in a hurry, because she's got OCD and ADD like me. You know what I mean? She can't fucking concentrate. So Heidi says, yeah, I'm making the French toast casserole. That's that smell. And I go, wow. I said, it really smells amazing. She goes, yeah. She goes, it's done. And I said, are you sure?
Oh my God.
And she goes, what do you mean? I said, someone else who lives here told me that sometimes you will take it out a little too soon and it isn't done all the way. And in my head, I'm like, I'm as bad as that woman on the plane. Why are you fucking saying these things? And she goes, oh, you know what? He's right. She goes, you know what? I should cook it longer. So she put it in for 15 more minutes and let it cook. And then I went and sat out in the living room with her. And I felt like an idiot because I'm sitting in the living room with her. Like we're in chairs that are next to one another. I go, are we like Archie and Edith Bunker? How are we doing this? She goes, yeah, it's great. So I sit down, and then Chris comes downstairs. He has to go to the DMV and stuff. He's real nice, and he smells the stuff in the oven. He doesn't say anything because he's smart. And he leaves, and then she goes and checks on it, and she goes, 10 more minutes. Like she cooked it for an extra 25 minutes total. And then she pulls it out, and she goes, will you try some? And I go, yes, I'll try some because I felt stupid about the previous night. So she cut me a square, not a big square, but just a small square, and I ate it. And here's what it is. You know what it is? It's French toast lasagna. Like there's no cheese in it, but it's just French toast and vanilla and cinnamon and syrup and it's got eggs. It's like a cake, like a French toast cake, and it's warm. It's like a bread pudding. It's like sex in a pan. I mean, I don't know how to explain it to you guys. Seriously. It was just like, it was like a vanilla blowjob. I was like, oh my Christ. She cuts me this little piece and I ate some of it, and 3 forkfuls, it was gone. I mean, I ate that whole little square, and I would have eaten the entire fucking pan if it wasn't for the fact that she said it'll keep for my friends next week. Because I was going to say, just give it to me. I'll just, and she's like, do you want more? And I go, no, I'm fine. Because I don't like to eat the day of the show. But in my head, I'm convincing myself, I'm actually saying, you know what, dude, it's just fucking bread. You'll be fine. You can just work through that. But I made sure I didn't eat it. I didn't eat it. I had to get ready for the show. So I went upstairs, and I started to cram. I had to call the theater. I got Pauline on the phone, and she's like, Michael, I'm excited about your show tonight. I won't be there. Of course you won't be there. You don't want to fucking see this thing. Because, again, everybody's so frightened by the running time and the fact that they don't think they can do it, whatever the fuck. I won't be there, but there'll be the tech guy and all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I said, fine, thank you, Pauline. So we got ready. I bailed, went to the show. The theater looked like this little church. It was so weird. It looked like a white picket fence type of church. It was just squared off. We parked. Heidi wanted to come to the sound check, and I didn't know why. I'm like, look, you're going to see stuff and hear stuff, but she was nice. She's a really huge comedy fan. Seeing my show, I'm the 95th live show she's seen this year. She loves comedy, just loves it, and loves comedians, and that was why she was willing to reach out to me, and I was really appreciative of it. So she checked out the sound check, and she kind of wanted to see behind the scenes a little bit, and so we hung out and did that. She took some photos. And then I had to go downstairs and start learning some jokes. So she took off. She met a friend and did some things. And there was a comedian from the Midwest named Matt Holt who showed up. I was hesitant to have a comic come because I know how comedians are. Like they just sit there and they fucking judge you, and then they hate you, and then they leave. But Matt, whether he liked it or not, he purported to like it, which was nice. But I went downstairs to learn jokes, and I was down in the basement. And, there was a lot of people coming and going, a lot of the people who worked there at the theater, and there were mannequins downstairs. And there was a mannequin and a woman mannequin, and then there was a mannequin lying on the table. And I swear to God, this mannequin had a swastika painted on its chest.
Oh my God. And
then the letters SS on its stomach. And then they had used the same paint to cover in the vagina. Like they painted it black. And so I immediately went over to the table to look at all the flyers to see if there was some Nazi-based show that was going to be in this theater. Because I've been to Indiana, all right? And you get to some towns, and right on the outside of town, there's like, welcome to Greenfield. And right next to the Greenfield, there's a huge white cross. And that was always a message that meant, hey, some of you shouldn't be in Greenfield. And I would see them all the time. And by the way, I don't know if there's a town called Greenfield in Indiana. And if there is, if it's racist, I don't know if there's a white cross. I have no idea. I apologize if you're there. I made it up. As far as you know. But if you are there, I don't want to be casting aspersions on the Greenfieldians. But still seeing a swastika and SS down in the basement, well, it threw me off a little bit. But I still learned my jokes. I plotted through. We got ready to start the show. And like I said, by the time showtime rolled around, there was like 55 tickets sold. And I went up top, and I have this in-theater music that I play. I change it for every city. And I'll usually coordinate with the sound guy. I'm like, look, I want to go at a certain time, but don't cut off the music. You guys know all this story. Well, it just so happened that the song that finished, that was the last song that played before I went on stage this time, was a song, I threw a song called The Man Comes Around by Johnny Cash into my playlist. And I was in the back getting ready for the show, waiting, listening, and it started playing, and I was like, God damn it, I want to fight somebody. I want to fucking fight somebody. And in my head, I decided, well, this is it. This is the music I will come on to every time, but I can't time it that way, unfortunately. I wish I could, because I never know when they're going to start the pre-show music, but Jesus Christ, I was cashed up. I mean, God damn, it was awesome. And then Pauline wasn't there, so they had another woman who went on stage, and it was so funny, because the reason they didn't book me the last year, when she told me no, the Fringe was coming to town. And she said, oh, we don't have anything because of the Fringe. And I said, well, that's fine. I'm looking for a date in a couple of months. And she goes, well, I don't want to talk about it. It doesn't sound like something we'd like to do. And I was weirded out. Like, why? You're having the Fringe there, which is the same types of shows. So when the woman asked me if she could introduce me, she goes, well, I'm going to tell them about the Fringe because it's upcoming here in a couple of months. And I said, all right, I mean, if that's what you want to do. So she goes up on stage and she's like, oh, remember, we've got the Fringe Festival. If you want to volunteer, you want to buy tickets, there's going to be shows here and all over the place. That's how we do it. Very exciting. And now the 40-year-old boy. And, I had talked to Pat, the tech guy, and I said, look, you're not going to do anything wrong. Don't worry about it. I said, just, hit the opening song and play it loud. And then everything else is really simple. And we had run it like 2 or 3 times. So sure enough, she goes, the 40-year-old boy. And I go walking on stage, no music. And I looked in the back toward Pat, and there was no music. And then he turned the lights off. And I just stood there and I was like, ha, of course. And then he turned the music on, and then it started to play softly, and then he turned it up a little louder, and then he turned the lights on, and I'm like, I'm already out here, dude. What the fuck? And I got to the microphone, and then I made fun of him for like 5 minutes. I'm like, really, dude? You had one job. Just hit that thing and leave the lights on. He just got confused. That's all, I guess. But I busted his balls, talked about him. And then I immediately went, hey, let's have a hand for Barbara, who was up here telling you about the Fringe Festival. And if I can bring one message to you folks tonight, it is fuck the Fringe Festival. Do not volunteer. Do not buy any tickets. Do not to go to any of the events. That's not anything I want. And it's just, I savaged the Fringe Festival. And I told them why. I said, this is what kept me out of your town for a year. And they turned me down. So no, what? Fuck the Fringe Festival. I hope it falls apart. So you got tons of empty theater space, and it was getting laughs. And I think Barbara herself was chuckling, or she was going, "Oh my word!" And then I did the show, and the show was great. You guys are tired of hearing that, but the show went very well. I mean, I was very excited how it went. There were people in the crowd. Like I said, it got to be 55, so the seats looked almost full, and I was so excited. And then, Heidi was there. I talked about her, and then they did the actual show, and everybody was great. It was so fun. And afterward, I met everybody, and I got to be honest. I do meet and greets in every town, and I just happen to have T-shirts to sell. Jesus, you guys bought like 25 shirts, I think, or 30 shirts. People that pre-ordered them and had me bring them, and then some people that bought them there. And I met everybody. It was nice enough to wait in line, and they hung out. The meet and greet went. The show ended. It started at 8:10. It ended at 11:15. So we went 3 hours and 5 minutes, and then the meet and greet ended at 12:45. So it was an hour and a half. Everybody waited. They waited in line. Very nice to take photos, and they had me sign things. People were buying shirts and having me sign them, which was amazing. Signing ticket stubs, and everybody was very nice. I met Dustin, who I've talked to on Twitter many times. David Kemp, who I said started the show. He came up to me and was really cool. And I'm not going to remember everybody's name. I do apologize. But our friend Derek Leitner, who has seen the show now, I think 5 times, and just wrote me a note. He's like, see you in Green Bay, which is ridiculous. I don't know why, but that's good. I thank you so much. And he brought a girl. I talked about this, right? There was a girl named Pop-Tarts who reached out to me and was like, I really wish I could come. And then I said, well, Derek's like, hey, you can come with me if you're coming from Detroit. And she's like, I don't know. And then I vouched for Derek, and she went. She let him give her. The two of them came from Michigan together to the show in Indianapolis, and she was really nice. Pop-Tarts was so friendly. Pop-Tarts, I don't want to say her last name. Her name was Pop-Tarts. There you go. Take that. And she could not have been more friendly, and she waited in line, and she bought 2 shirts, and then tipped me, donated to the show there, and everybody did. Everybody handed me money. This Mike was there. I met everyone, and everybody was so friendly and nice. And because I never know how it's going to go. I always hope it's going to go well, and then it is long. And there were people there who were like, that's long. There were people who brought wives who just could not wait to get out the fucking door, which I completely understand. But they were nice enough to wait, and they waited for pictures, and they waited for shirts, and everybody was very nice. our friend Matt Henshaw was there. Matt, he sent me the cereal cookbook a long time ago. So he's like, hey man, are you guys hanging out and doing something? You going to eat? And I knew I was hanging out with Heidi and her friend and Matt Holt. And I said, yeah, man. And I had told Heidi, I go, after the show's a free-for-all. So wherever we wind up, a bunch of people are probably going to go. So this guy, Mike, hung out. And his wife Laura designed for me a notebook, not a notebook. What's the word? It's like a journal, but it's really small. And she put Mex's artwork on the front. It was just, I can't even explain how great it was. And everybody gave me gifts. Our friend John, and his son Quinn came to the show. And I talked about this where John gave the Prince shirts. Everybody was so friendly and nice. So I thank you so much, Indianapolis. I'm glad I came out. And I will tell you this, Pauline showed up in the middle of my show, and she was there for the end of it. So she saw, kind of the important part, and she watched the reaction from people and saw people lining up to wait for me. And then Pauline she came up to me while I was signing things, and she's like, would you like a beer, Michael? And I says, no, I don't drink. I'm good. And I go, you're Pauline. And she goes, yeah. And I go, hey, this is Pauline. Remember I told you about her earlier? Because I had told everybody on stage that she had ducked out and wasn't coming and that she wouldn't book me. And everybody laughed, of course. And she's like, she goes, I want to tell you, remember about the Fringe Festival? Remember the Fringe? And everybody just started laughing because I had already torn apart the Fringe on stage. And she goes, and I have to tell you, next year, Mike is going to come back and be in the Fringe. And she had never offered it to me. And she just basically, I don't know if she was just gravy training because the people there liked me. But who knows if I'm really going to be in the Fringe next year. But she said that I was. Who knows what'll happen if there's still a Fringe after their bottomed out support after I cut it to pieces this year. I have no idea. But it was nice of her to offer, I guess. And then she was really nice, and she hugged me. And then afterwards we hung out, and it was me, Matt, Heidi, and this guy Mike and his friend Jake. I don't remember this guy's name. I didn't remember this dude's name, and I apologize. But Eric showed up, and Matt, and we all went out to the Brass Ring, which was the other bar, and then they had food, and we ordered food, and holy shit, was it terrible. No offense, but they brought us these pot stickers, and then I ordered these potato skins that were just like fucking death. And so I didn't eat much of them, but everybody was there, and I didn't pay for a fucking thing when I was in town. I should tell you that. Heidi refused to let me pay for anything. She wouldn't let me pay for sushi. She didn't let me pay for anything at the bar, a drink. And then when the food came, everybody else picked up my tab. I tried. I pulled my wallet out all the time. Everybody's laughing at me and telling me to put my wallet away. So generous, so friendly. Thank you so much. Eric Schonborn came out. Nice guy. He has a podcast called Gutter Trash, which I think is in iTunes, or you can go to guttertrash.net because he talked about coming to the show. And it was nice of him. He actually paid for the potato skins. Everybody was so friendly. And then Heidi said, because it was my birthday weekend, so Heidi said, hey, I made you something. And she went to her car and she brought it over. And she took the top off, and I couldn't tell what it was. But it was some sort of frozen thing, because I know she kept it in the freezer at the club. She starts cutting it up. She gives me a piece. It tasted like peanut butter. At first, she goes, you know what that is? And I go, I think it's peanut butter. She goes, nope. That's Biscoff. I was like, what? You know the cookies that I eat on the plane with apple juice, Biscoff cookies? She made a Biscoff dessert. And made it was a frozen dessert where it was just like Biscoff on a graham cracker crust, I think, or whatever the fuck. I don't know what the fuck. It was just, but it was Christmas, frozen Christmas in a plate. And she pulled out, she said, yeah, they have a spread that they make like peanut butter. She goes, yeah, and I mixed it with mascarpone cheese and I froze it and I made this. It's a Biscoff spread dessert for you. And I just started wolfing it. I fucking ate the shit out of it. It was amazing. And then she handed me a package. She gave me my own Biscoff spread for my birthday. Like she bought me a jar, which is now at my house, and is not gone, surprisingly, although it should be, because it tastes just like Biscoff cookies. It's fucking amazing. And we hung out, man. We hung out all night there at the Brass Ring. We closed it down. It closed at 3. We ordered food. We hung out. Everybody paid, and we had a good time laughing. I talked to Matt. We were talking comedy, talking being on the road. Matt's moving out here, talking apartments. Just a great time. And as the night's winding down, we're out on the patio, which is right on the street. And we hear this huge, loud noise, like a wham. And none of us know what to make of it. We're kind of like startled. And then we hear a scraping, like a really loud scraping, but we don't know. And we look out on the street, and coming up the street is a van on 3 wheels.
Holy shit.
The front right passenger wheel is gone. And it is nothing but sparks. Orange. He's still going 40 miles an hour on 3 wheels. and there's sparks flying everywhere. And all of us stand up. We're just like, what the fuck? What the? And we look, because it happened so quick. We heard the noise, and then he shows up, and he goes by in this van. And at the end of the street, there's a hard curve by the bar with a stoplight. And there's construction. We're like, he's going to roll the fucking thing, because it started to list a little bit. And then, but it was out of control, but it was moving and listing, but we were watching it, and I'm waiting for the fucking thing to roll, and he hits the curve, and he takes it perfectly. And we're waiting for the crush, the roll, the smash, the noise, anything. And he just turns the corner and he's gone. Out of the blue. Like out of the fucking blue. It just happened. We're sitting there within 15 seconds. It's like, oh my God, spark shower, van. He turns and he's gone. And we're standing there and we're looking at one another like, Jesus Christ, we all saw that, right? Everybody saw that. And, it was great when I thought about it because, again, he was out of control. At any moment, it looked like it could have careened off the road, but he kept it solid. Sparks everywhere. It was all, it was a crazy show, but he still was able to keep it centered and make it go where it was supposed to go. That van was my podcast. Looks like it's going to fucking list off the track. You're waiting for the crash at any time you figure it's going to smash into something. And yet, for some reason, the guy in control is always able to get it where it's supposed to fucking go. Don't get me wrong. It's going to fucking smash one of these days. It's going to completely take a curve and smash into a wall. And it'll just be me laying there with a fucking Blue Meanie corpse on top of me. Just fucking staring and none of us knowing what to do. Because the best parts of the show are Lily's production and David's artwork. I still come in a solid third. But eventually, I'm going to fucking smash it. But the great thing is when it finally does go off the rails, holy shit, how great is that artwork going to be that week? Oh my God. Amazing. So we hung out. We saw the van. All of us commiserated. And then fucking Mike's friend went to look for the wheel because he's ridiculous. And then we left. We bailed, and Heidi and I are driving, and we're going back. And I wasn't going to go to sleep because it was already 3:30, and I had to be at the airport at fucking 5. Bullshit. I had to be at the airport at 7 because my flight was at 9. I thought it was earlier, and I was like, I'm just going to stay up. And then I realized it wasn't. I'm like, oh, Jesus, I'm going to fall asleep. And she's like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I'm going to stay up. She goes, all right, I'll stay up too. So we got in the car, and we headed home. And she's like, is there anything you need? Can we go to White Castle? She goes, done. She puts it into her GPS. There's like 4 of them around. We go to the first one. It's gone. Like it doesn't exist. It's like, it's not even, we can't even see a building that looks like it might have been a White Castle in this area. And then we double back with them. We hit another one and it's there. She buys some for her husband. I get some for me. Head back to her house. I eat White Castle. And I'm like, I shouldn't do this before I get in the plane, but I don't care. And then I fall asleep in the fucking chair. Terrible. Fucking sitting in a chair with Castle breath next to this woman in her house. She's going, why the fuck is this idiot here? Why the fuck is this idiot here? I'm sure everybody says that whenever I come to their town. They can't figure it out. But she especially, because I'm sitting in her fucking house. She's got a French toast casserole she made just for me. I took one bite of. I refused her gift of castles in the middle of the night and then made her take me for real White Castles. And she was still willing to do it. I mean, I can't. The trip to Indianapolis was a success only for the people who were there. I mean, honestly, I had nothing to do with it. Seriously. If it wasn't for Heidi letting me stay at her house, picking me up at the airport, Propel, and bringing me out and enjoying the show and telling me how much she liked it. Because you know what? I asked her flat out. Because again, she's seen 95 fucking shows this year. She's seen 1 million comedians. And she's like, the show was good. And that wasn't good enough for me. Because I'm like, well, what did you think really? And she's like, I thought it was good. And I'm like, I know, but what does that mean? And she's like, well, no, it was really good. I teared up at the end and I liked it. I did these things. And I go, all right, I wanted a little elaboration. I said, because you know the difference. And she's like, you're right, I do. I said, so I want to know if it was worth it. She said it was. And even though she says it was worth it for her, it was much more worth it for me to come out and see you guys. You started the page. I don't make this trip if it's not for David Kemp starting the page. Thank you so much, David. And for Jeremy, comedian in Chicago now, who I don't know if he wants me to say his last name, so I won't. But he thought of making the page, but he was the first one who told me about the Indie Fringe Theater. And thank you so much to Eric and Matthew and John and Quinn and Dustin and, like I said, Heidi and Chris. And Derek and Pop-Tarts who came out and everybody else who came to the show. Jim Donovan who came out. He was so nice. I can't thank you enough because you're the reason I go out and do these shows. And I know that no matter how many wheels I lose on this van, you guys are going to be sitting there just waiting for the crash. You guys can get me at MikeandMikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can get me at Facebook.com/the40-year-old-boy. Be my friend there. You can follow me at Twitter.com/the40-year-old-boy. Follow our friend Lily Von Stupp at Twitter.com/Lily Von Stupp and Twitter.com/MNTs. 2 different accounts for my friend Lily. You can find her at Facebook.com/Lily Von Stupp and be her friend. Well, actually, you can find her at Facebook.com/Lily Von Stupp and request her friendship, which you will never get.
Email me and I will.
For years and years, unless you email her and tell her who you are and you're a fan of the show. Because, surprise, surprise, a woman with big tits gets a lot of friend requests on Facebook from guys she's never met. So if you're a fan of the show and you want to be her friend, write her an email as well. I'll tell you where to do that a little later. But if you want to be our friend David Hernandez, who does the artwork, you want to be his friend, be Facebook.com's, you don't be that. You have to go to Facebook.com/David Mex Hernandez. And if you want to write Lily a personal note, and you want to reach out to her and find out just how bad her back hurts after sitting here for this entire recording. And if you want her to be your friend and make sure that she knows, go ahead and write her at Lily@burlesque411.com. That's Lily, Lili, at burlesque411.com.
Let's drink your coffee. Don't hold some pencils. Let's soak your forks deep. Don't hold more pencils. Throw a garbage heaper on these mugs. There's flame bush mini on these mugs. Go buy these wicked awesome mugs at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Mugs, 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 mugs,
Want to remind you folks about the Monday Night Teas every Monday night at the 3 clubs on Santa Monica and Vine. That's a show. It's a burlesque show. It's an amazing show. I think it's the longest running show in the history of Los Angeles. And it's fantastic. And I happen to know the producer, folks. She's a good friend of mine, and her back hurts, and she's sitting here right now. Her friend is Lily Von Stupp. Hey, Lily.
Hello, Michael.
How are you?
I am good.
Fantastic. How was last week's tease?
Last week's tease was awesome.
Sounds like a song worth of awesome.
It was.
It made you sing
It
right
was
there.
Fabulous. Big Easy, all blues. It was awesome.
Sweet. And did you perform or host?
No.
You were just in the house,
Either. I was just in the house.
raising the roof, apparently. So you were picking up the roof,
Yes.
raising it,
Yes.
because it was on fire.
Yes.
Did you need any water?
No.
Why not?
We let the motherfucker burn.
Good thinking. So this week is another Monday Night Tease because it's every Monday night, folks. I don't know if I've mentioned that. Is there a theme show this week?
No, there's not.
But it's a regular fantastic tease.
It is. I'm very excited because one of my new students is performing, and her name is Olive, and she's so cute.
Oh, I like that name. That's a
She's
fun
like,
name.
I like the name Olive, but I don't know what to put with it. And I'm like, don't put anything with it. Be like Cher.
Mm.
And she's like, oh. And then she tried to get on Facebook to be just Olive, and they wouldn't let her, so she went with Olive. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's perfect. See, sometimes organically these things just show up.
And she's so cute, and she's like a little girl in her mom's dress stripping.
I
It's
can't wait to
so
see her
adorable.
naked. It's so terrible. You're like, she's like a little girl, and you won't believe how great she looks naked. Stop.
But you know what I mean?
All of a sudden, a fat Indiana sheriff kicks in your door and shoots me in the head.
Shoots me in the head.
Well, good. I'm glad. I'm looking forward to that. And are there other people at the show, or just Olive?
Awesome. Dizzy's performing one of her epic strips again this week.
Dizzy Von Dam.
Awesome. Always a great performer. Glamis Sutra is going to be doing, hopefully, she's going to be doing the Erasure version.
Erasure.
Yeah. Of, oh shit, now I can't remember the name of the song. Too Darn Hot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Wonderful version.
Nice. So that'll be this Monday night. Are you working, hosting the show? Getting a little bawdy. You're not hosting the show? Why are you tomfoolery on my own show here? Why are you baiting the hook? I chomp on it, and then you're like, haha.
In the door. That's all this week.
But that's not that's all. You're in the house. You're the den mother of burlesque.
I'm always there.
Good. All right, well, that's good. So people should show up, and they should say hello to you and tell you they like the show and pay to get in.
And you know, tickets are on sale for the show you're hosting.
August 20th, Inglorious Burlesque is available on sale right now, folks. That's Monday night at the Monday Night Tease. It's the tribute to Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah!
I will be hosting that show in spite of all of my better efforts to get out of it. And then there will be naked girls, which is much more important. There will be naked girls, and there will be blood, and there will be a go-go. There'll be a go-go in the house. But I'm doing, you know what? I'm doing that show just so I can stand behind go-go. Literally, that's the only reason I'm there. So that will be the Inglorious Burlesque Show. Tickets are on sale now at brownpapertickets.com, and all the information is available at mntees.com, correct? Or you can go to facebook.com/Monday Night Tees for any information about upcoming shows. And again, all the tickets are available at brownpapertickets.com if you search Lily's name or search Monday Night Tees. You can go to facebook.com, as I've mentioned many times, probably today. If you go to facebook.com/the40year-old boy, not only can you be my friend, but you will look for all of the pages who want me to come to their towns, bring Mike Schmidt to Detroit, bring Mike Schmidt to Eugene, Oregon. I don't even know why that one exists, but hey, if enough people want me to come, I'll be there. So Detroit, like I said, St. Louis, all these shows, London, of course, still in play. All those there. So sign up on those pages, join those pages, and I will get an idea of support. I am trying to find a place to play in some of those cities already. Still looking. I don't know how long it's going to take, but every city's got a Pauline. Let's just put it that way. There are shows that are on sale now. I'm going to be at the... September 14th, I'm in Green Bay at the Venture Theater. That's going to be exciting. Tickets are on sale right now for the Venture Theater in Green Bay at brownpapertickets.com. That's a Saturday. No, it's a Friday show at 8 o'clock p.m. I'm excited for my whole trip to Milwaukee. Should be a great time. Well, I'm in Milwaukee for a couple days, in Green Bay for a day. I'm all over the place. I'm in Wisconsin, folks. That's where I'm going to be. And then October 19th is a Friday night in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at the Latvian Society. People are buying tickets for that, which is kind of nice. It would be nice if you could continue to buy tickets. If only so I know that I have enough people to defend me in a fight if something breaks out at the Latvian Society. Because I'm sure I'll say something to anger the Latvians, and then I'll get pelted with cabbage rolls. But if I have you guarding my back, folks, I'm sure it will be safe. So remember, September 14th at the Venture Theater in Green Bay, October 19th at the Latvian Society in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Tickets available at brownpapertickets.com. Go ahead and pick those up right now. I'll wait. If you go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com, remember you can go to all of the pages, and in the upper left-hand corner there is a donate icon where you can donate to the show. $2 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, $25 a month, or a one-time donation is always appreciated. Thank you so much for that. Remember that at the MikeSchmidtComedy.com you can go to the Joe Business page and you can find the link to tweakedaudio.com/40 for autoerotic asphyxiation earbuds and conquering watches. You can find a link to the Zazzle store to get Fireboy mugs or Thorgar and Yeet mugs. You can find a link to buy t-shirts. That's right, shirts are available, either Red Boy or Scar Panda. Available in 6 different sizes for now. Sizes are running out, but I will tell you when those run out. But right now, all of the sizes are available. Small through XXX, 3X. How do I say that? 3XL through small. Those are all available right now. And you can also get the download sets for the show. Year 1, Year 2, Year 3, Year 4, all available individually. Or you can get them together as part of the Podcast of the Caribbean set, where you'll get all 4 for the price of 3. And I can't tell you how amazing that is, folks. Really, because trust me, I talked it. I know how great it is. I want to tell you about some upcoming stuff. First of all, the Podfest. Remember that the Los Angeles Podcast Festival is here in October. The week before I go to Philadelphia, I think it's the 12th, 13th, and 14th. There might be I don't know. I got no idea. But it's the week before I'm in Philadelphia. It's the 12th, 13th, and 14th because I'm there the 19th. They are adding shows. I think Aisha Tyler's going to be there now. The Sklar Brothers, like I said, there's a million different shows. I'm there. I'm performing live. I will be doing a live version of this show on Saturday afternoon at 11 o'clock right now. They may change that. They may shuffle me around, they said, but I don't know for sure. But right now I'm pretty sure it's 11 o'clock on Saturday in the hotel. It will be me doing a live version of this podcast, and our friend Lily Von Stupp will be there. You can meet us. I'll have shirts. We'll be signing things. We'll be hanging out for photos, whatever the hell you want to do. Although it's Los Angeles, it may just be a bunch of jaded people going, pfft. Also, at the Los Angeles Podcast Festival, I think I'm part of a symposium or a panel about storytelling. I don't know. We'll see. It all depends on if Kevin Allison gives me the go-ahead. I don't think he's in charge of it. I'm joking. He's on the panel himself. It'd be nice to meet Kevin, because I did Risk without ever meeting him, but I'd love to do it again. So remember the Los Angeles Podcast Festival. Go to lapodfest.com. I think, La Podfest. lapodfest.com for tickets, and tickets are available now for the shows. You can get hotel reservations, the whole package. Everything is available right now, so go to lapodfest.com and grab whatever you can because they are going quickly. So make sure you get them, and you're in town for all of the, there's like a fucking stand-up show, and Mark Maron's kicking it off, and Pardo's doing a show, Todd Glass. It's amazing. It's just amazing. A ton of great shows, doing live sets, and then also doing stand-up at night. I don't know if I'm involved in the stand-up set. I might not be because, Jesus Christ, they have way too many funny people. So I don't think, I may just hang out. Who knows, with my laminate. Look for me with my laminate and say hello to me. Remember that the Comedy Film Nerds Guide to Movies is available to book at comedyfilmnerds.com or through amazon.com. You can get one signed by me if you go through Comedy Film Nerds themselves, request one. Or if you specifically want to request me to write something, send one, call them or write them. Don't call them. They don't have a phone number. But place an order with them and tell them that you want me to personalize it, and I'll be happy to do that for you. Because that's what I do. I personalize books for strangers. This Monday night, I should tell you this Monday, that's August, I think 13th. I changed my mind now. I believe it's the 13th. Yeah. I am appearing live with Paul Goebel and Jim Bruce and Tom Griffin as part of the live Paul Goebel King of TV podcast at the I.O. West in Hollywood. I think it's on Hollywood Boulevard. You can go to my Facebook page for a link. You can go to Paul Goebel's Facebook page for a link. That's much more important. Tickets are on sale now. If you contact Paul Goebel through Facebook.com/ I believe the King of TV, or just look for Paul Goebel, he has 2-for-1 tickets available. I have no control over that, so you're going to need to go to Paul Goebel. All I'm doing is showing up and talking, and I'm telling you right now about it. So that's this Monday, I believe at 8 o'clock at the I.O. West. It'll be me doing a live King of TV podcast. Paul Goebel is the guy to contact for 2-for-1 tickets. Go ahead and pick those up right now. And tell him that you love him being the King of TV. Ask him why he's not the French Toast King. He should be that. I guess Heidi should be the French Toast Queen, at least, with that casserole. Holy shit, it was amazing. He's the King of TV, not the King of Movies. Although Comedy Film Nerds... all right, you know what's funny? I should do this. I went to a screening. Did I mention that, folks, that I went to a screening? I started to talk about it a lot earlier. For Comedy Film Nerds, sometimes they will have these screening lists and they'll send us out. Well, there was this horror movie called VHS that I really wanted to see, and I went to the screening last night in Beverly Hills. I took my wife because I wanted to bring Matt Weinhold, but he was not available. So my wife and I went to the screening, and also we ran into David from Battleship Retention Podcast. He was there checking it out, and I met a guy named Tim from the Golden Bucket Podcast or Golden Ticket. I don't know. Who knows? Another movie podcast. Look for Tim. He's great. He was nice to me last night when he said hello and shook my hand. So the movie starts. It's a horror movie, and I knew it was a horror movie, and I knew it was a found footage horror movie. So, but aren't they all? But that's fine. I don't care. I love horror movies, and I'm willing to give it a day in court. So the movie starts, and it starts right away with old videotape, like the blue screen that says eject or play. You know how you do that? It was pretty cool. And then it started kind of hopping all over the place, like there was interference, and then there was some sex scenes, and then some stuff of people fighting, and then I started to realize, oh no, the entire film is found footage and handheld cameras of guys running in parking garages and guys running in a house and guys jumping around, and they're holding cameras, and it's all edited together, and it's a anthology form. So what it is they go to try to steal a videotape from a guy's house, and when they get there, they start looking for tapes, and one of them finds tapes, and he starts to watch them, and you get to see what's on the tapes. So there's the surrounding story of these guys stealing the tape from the house, but within it, they keep finding tapes and watching things, and you get to see those stories unfold. So I'm sitting there watching it, and I watched the first story, which is about these guys, these douchebag idiots who go and get fucking glasses that have a camera in it, and their whole plan is to bring girls back to the hotel and fuck them while they film it with the camera in their glasses. So good for them. So they're fucking assholes, and the whole time I'm waiting for them to die because they could not stop being douchebags, high-fiving and drinking and acting like assholes, and I'm going, kill them, please, die. I want the monster to show up. Where is the monster? And as it's going on, I thought handheld cameras were bad enough, but this guy's drunk and he's wearing glasses with the camera. So supposedly it's filmed through his head. So he's turning his head and looking around. It's not even just a camera at this point. And it's all first person, his viewpoint of the bar, and he's in the bath. I mean, I got sick. I'm watching it. I got a headache, and I started to get physically ill. And I made it through the first story in the anthology. Because look, even Paranormal Activity stops once in a while and has a static shot. They'll show somebody sitting in a kitchen and they're not moving, all right? These guys were constantly running and moving their heads in the cameras, and I started to get sick to my stomach. And I'm watching it, I'm trying, and then it went, after that anthology ended, they went back to the house where the guys are looking for the videotape, and they're running around with cameras, and again, there's a guy sneaking around a fucking bookcase, and then I looked at Karen and I go, I'm ready to go whenever you're ready to go. And she said, okay. And because she's all happy with everything in the world. And then they go, I decided to wait for the next story. So they went to the next story, and I'm like, well, at least maybe if they're not being too crazy with the running, I can get through that and we'll make it work. And the next story starts, the guy puts in the videotape and they hit play, and the next story is an extreme close-up on a woman's eye. And then she pulls the camera away and she's like, all right, we're filming our trip. And I went, I'm done. That's it. I'm done. And I looked at Karen and she goes, you want to go? And I'm like, yes. And we got up and we walked out, and I went promptly to the bathroom and I threw up because I was sickened. And it's so funny. And I felt so stupid leaving because I didn't want people to think that I was scared of the scary movie or objected to the blood and the tits. I was just like, no, I'm going to vomit if I sit here 1 second longer and watch douchebags run around with cameras. I can't fucking stand it. It's making me sick to my stomach. And I threw up in their fancy bathroom, and I walked out, and Karen was very nice, and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I have a headache, and my head hurt the rest of the night. Like here's my review of VHS. Bring Dramamine. That's the only thing. I can't give it. I don't give it thumbs up. I don't give it thumbs down. I don't give it stars. I give it one head in the toilet because that's what it got for me. And again, I'm not saying it's quality of film, and I'm not saying it's bad or it's good. I can't fucking judge it, folks. I was too busy trying not to vomit all over my friend David, who was sitting in front of me. That's what it was. The entire movie was an exercise in me trying not to throw up. But it didn't work. At least I made it out of the fancy theater before I vomited all over the place. Because I have a tone. Because you know why? Because I talk quickly and I don't fucking think. That's why. I think that's what it means when you have a tone. Is you don't fucking bother to care what comes flying out of your goddamn mouth. I try to grow the show and I want people to get on board, and they're like, I listen to it and you talk too fast. Really, I talk too fast. How the hell else am I supposed to cram all of this into a small 3-hour window? Dude, there's no script. I just go over this shit on the fly. It makes me laugh. If it doesn't make you laugh, turn the fucking station. And by turn the station, I mean turn the wheel of your car right into a guardrail. Jesus fuck. Hey, where are you going, boy?